guys, it's Megan Reads, and I'm about to start my first official book. I am so excited. It's What Lies Between Us by John Mars. I love John Mars. I have read so many of his books, so I'm super excited to check this one out. I know it's a thriller and some kind of mystery, and it involves a woman named Nina and a woman named Maggie, and somehow they live together, and every other day they have dinners together, but one of them gets chained up in the attic afterwards, from what I'm understanding of what the synopsis is. So it sounds really good. It sounds super interesting, and I cannot wait to check it out. I will check in with you guys at the 10% mark, and we'll see what we thought of it. Hi guys, I am officially 10% into the book. This book is friggin' crazy already. First of all, there's two main characters. There's Nina and there's Maggie. And all you know is they are two women that live together, and there is one woman, Maggie, who is in the attic. She doesn't leave the house. She looks out the window. It's very Rear Window-esque. She looks out the window, and that's how she sees what's going on in the world, and the times are changing. She sees her neighbors, and you get a gist pretty quickly that she hasn't left the house in a very long time. And then there is Nina, and Nina more or less takes care of Maggie and is there for her, but you can tell there's something very uneasy about their dynamic. And at the start of the book, I was like, are they friends? Are they lovers? Are they related? Like, you don't really know what's going on at the beginning, but very quickly, and the way it's done is like kind of shocking, is it just gets said very quick, like, oh yeah, my mom. And I'm like, you guys are mother and daughter? Holy crap. It is tough to read a little bit, because Maggie is the mother and she's locked up in the attic, and something happened between her and Nina when I'm going to say when she was like 14 or 15, because we've had one flashback now to Nina at 14, and her mom and her dad, everybody got along good. There doesn't seem to have been any violence. Everybody seemed to have a good dynamic. And then one day, Nina's dad, who she absolutely loved, left. And the mom said, like, oh, we're going to get a divorce more or less, and you can see him down the road. But a part of me is wondering if something maybe happened to the dad, and like the mom is lying about it, because when we get the perspectives of Maggie and then we get the perspective of Nina, you can tell something happened. And a part of me is wondering, it's very easy to say Nina's just being cruel and is having fun, like torturing her mom maybe, or like there's some kind of psychological problem, which I'm sure there is, don't get me wrong, I'm sure. But I'm also wondering if there's a situation where there's like a danger involved, because she's locked in the attic and she's chained every single night, so she can't get out. It is quite hard to read about that, because she doesn't have a bathroom. She has a bucket. Nina goes to work every day, comes home, leaves food outside the door because that's as far as she can get, and cleans her room, and that's it. But the mom, Maggie, more or less like tries to kind of get around her and like take things into her room, and she gets confiscated and found out, and we don't know much yet. We do know that Nina at some point was pregnant and either had the baby or didn't. I'm going to say didn't, because when she sees children in the street and everything, she gets very upset and almost wants to take these kids from like the parents she deems irresponsible or not watching their kid enough. So I'm wondering if maybe Maggie has something to do with that situation. Like maybe she found out her daughter was a teenager and was pregnant and made her get rid of the baby, or maybe they gave the baby away, or something more sinister happened. You never know with a book like this. John Mars does a lot of twists and turns in his books as well, so I can definitely see this going, like, he'll set up that you think you're going down this one way and you're so prepared, and then at the very end he goes whoop, and you're basically like, I don't know what I just read. I don't know who to believe. I believe that we do have two very unreliable narrators, because they both believe their truths. And somewhere in the middle between Nina's truth and Maggie's truth is the actual truth, and we kind of have to figure out what it's going to be. So far, I'm liking it. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I really want to find out what's going to happen next. I want to know what started this drift and between them. Also, another thing that we know quite early on is Nina is terrified of being alone and left. And that being left could have stemmed from when it was her father who left her. Or it could have been stemmed from maybe something when she obviously was pregnant at one point in time, because we do find out not only was she pregnant, but she was farther along in her pregnancy, at least 6 months. So that brings more questions of what happened to the baby. Did the baby not make it? Like, we don't really know. We do know that it is 25 years later from when she was 14, when the POV is switching back and forth in time. So we know she's at 39 to 40 years old. Now, we do not know how old Maggie is yet, but I am assuming she's obviously older. She's the mom, so obviously a little older. And she's made a point to talk about her hands and the fact that there's like age all over her hands and like things like that. Also, we know that Maggie did not love her husband, because one of the things that's in her room that her daughter like has her look at all the time is a picture of him. And when she sees the picture, she gets sick. And it's like, I hated that man. I don't even want to see pictures of him and all this stuff. So I'm so curious to find out what exactly is going to go on. But the story is good. I'm liking the writing style so far. I think it's being done really well. It's interesting. It's making me wonder what's going to happen next, which is always good in a thriller. It's what we always want to see. And I don't have any clear feelings on, like, do I like Nina? Do I like Maggie? I feel like they're complex characters, and we're just going to find that out more and more as we go into the book. But I'm excited to see where we're going. So far, that is what's going on here, and I will check back in with you guys when I am at the 50% mark, and we'll see if any of my observations are correct, if they're wrong, if I like the characters, hate the characters, if we have a clear villain by that point. I mean, I think they're right now, Nina is looking pretty villainous for doing what she's doing to her mother, but we don't know the true full story, so we have to stay tuned to see all that. But right now, Nina, girl, you're not looking so good locking your mother in the attic. I'm just saying, with a piss bucket and everything. At least give the woman a bathroom up there. Could we at least do that? And let me tell you, if you are a person that has a complicated relationship with your mother, then this book is also kind of a little triggering of like, oh, when mothers and daughters don't get along and how it can go really south and sour really fast. But we're gonna talk again when I'm at the 50% mark, and hopefully it continues to be really good, because I'm liking it so far. So let the adventures of Nina, Maggie, and the attic continue. Hey guys, I'm back to check in. I am at the 50% mark, and God, some stuff has happened. Nina and Maggie are still going at it. We have learned a little bit more, and in my opinion, Nina is batshit woohoo, just a tad. Looking back on their past and seeing the point of views changing and what they've gone through, I think they both are pretty damn disturbed, to be honest with you. We now know Nina definitely had a child, and she had a miscarriage situation that Maggie initiated with some medication and never actually even told her daughter, who was 14 at the time. So we're having a lot of red flags up and down on both of them, and how they are unhinged, and they don't deal with things by talking to each other. It's very much, I'm just going to control everything and I'm going to control everything, when in reality, if they had a little conversations together, I feel like a lot of their issues wouldn't have even like became issues. Nina, when she was a teenager, dated a guy that was very, how do I word this, liking the underage girls, and he ended up going to jail. And even all these years later, she is now 39. This happened when she was 14. She is still absolutely in love with this man and enamored with the relationship she thinks they had, when in reality he was with another girl, got another girl pregnant. Like, there's something a little unhinged. There's something where Nina, speaking of Nina, doesn't understand the reality of situations, and very much, I don't feel like, mentally grew up from a teenager, and she's stunted in lots of ways. And Maggie is the mom. So as a mom, she wants to protect her child, but she fails to realize her child is no longer a child and is in her late 30s. But we're going to have a prediction situation here, because Maggie says that she has to protect people from Nina. Now, it's easy to say, like, oh, you know, Nina's insane and that's why she's locked her mother in the attic. But she says that her mother owes her and has lied to her. And we have now found out some pretty disturbing information. Her mother, you know, made her have a miscarriage situation, and she wasn't even aware that her mother did that at 14. Her mother was somehow involved in John going to jail, and I believe what's initiated is that she, meaning Maggie, killed John's girlfriend and set it up that it would be John, that John did it, and that girl was pregnant. So even more like crazy. And when Nina had her baby from John, the baby apparently died and they buried the baby. But a part of me is wondering if that was the truth, which is just so disturbing. I feel like she might have ended, the child. And also, the whole reason this is going on as well with Nina is Nina was told from the time she was 14, her mom told her that she has a genetic chromosomal disease that will make any child she has be deformed. Now, is that true or is that a lie? Because when she gave birth to the child at home, she never saw the baby. Now, was the mother covering up her own lies, or did the baby actually not, keep going? Trying to do my words very good here. We don't know. We don't know as of yet. We will obviously find out not that far from now. Another thing, Maggie's husband, Alistair, disappeared, died, whatever, left years and years and years ago. At the beginning, I was under the assumption that maybe Maggie had did something to him, but now I'm thinking Nina might have blacked out as a teenager and did some horrible things to her father, and the mom, Maggie, cleaned it up. And that's why a lot of these situations that they have as mother and daughter throughout the years, when we switch back and forth through the POVs, is happening because Maggie is feeling that she's protecting her. Like, Nina wanted to adopt, she wanted to become a mother, and she basically told social services, like, no, that's a really bad idea. And I guess the reasoning is she doesn't trust Nina and her mental status. And to be fair, you can't really blame Maggie on that one, because she's beaten the crap out of her mother and leaving her in the attic, and there's a lot of anger and resentment. Some of it is an understandable mother-daughter dynamic of just going at each other when you don't have the proper communication levels, which is something that is happening with both of them, but it's so much deeper. This is very suspenseful, extreme thriller vibes. There is a murder situation. Oh, and now there's a girl next door who might be getting abused by her parents, and they are weirdly connecting into this way of like trying to save and or help this girl and her brother, because as weird as this is, they're both against issues with children. So like let's beat each other up all day. Nina threw bleach on her mom almost, and like bumped her in the back of the head. And there was a scene in this where I was like, someone's gonna die, and I don't know if I want to see that or don't. Like, where will the story go either way here? I'm loving it. I'm really liking the writing style. I think it's really great. I love the POV switches, and I love the time frame changes from now to 25 years prior, where a lot of the root issues started from and that they did not deal with and or ever speak about. So that root issue is what has caused this whole big problem between mother and daughter all these years later. And we do know that Maggie has been locked up in the attic for 2 years, which is around the time right after she was denied to get a child of her own, and she blames her mother, which rightfully so. I kind of blame my mom too. You're the one that said that I was unfit. And there's also a level of codependency and not being able to not be together. And there's so many layers to this story. I'm really enjoying it. I'm interested to see how it's going to end. I feel like there are a couple ways. Now, Nina could be the big bad. She could be the one that killed her dad, which is what I'm suspecting now, that she's mentally unsound. I am also suspecting that the chromosomal issue she was told about was not true. Like, her mom just lied to her to get her to stop sleeping around or be too fearful to have children of her own, because her mother was more nervous about her having a psychological problem and passing that on to the child. These are my predictions. The next time I check in, we'll obviously find out if I was right or if I was wrong. I think I'm right. But then again, John Mars switches things like so crazy on you that you'll be like, this is how it's going, I get it, and then you're like, what just happened? So I am excited to see. I wonder if Maggie will get out of the attic. That's my that's my wonder. Will she get out of the attic, or will it be like 50 years later, I'm still there? We also now know how old Maggie is, which I was wondering. She's in her late 60s, which I'm like, this poor lady. Oh, but it breaks my heart a little. I am a mother, and as a mother, I can see her trying in the most fucked up way, granted, but in her own way to protect her child from like herself. And that everybody wants to protect their kid. I don't think she's going about it the right way, or that she went about it the right way. She's definitely at least murdered one person we know of. So actually, no, two, because the woman she murdered was with the bump. So two. Crazy book. I'm absolutely loving it. The next time I check in, we will be done with the book number 1, which is like, I'm reading this one really fast. I cannot put it down. It's so good. And I will tell you if my predictions were correct or not. I think they are. I think I'm on to something here, but we will see. I wonder if they're going to throw a curveball. Oh, I'm kind of excited if they do. The next time I check in, we'll talk about everything that I'm saying, and we'll see if I'm right. See you soon. Hi guys, I'm back to report the ending of this book. Yo. This was crazy. It was intense. It was intense. First, let's start with my predictions. Did she really have a chromosomal disease? She did not. Mommy was lying to her, so I got that one right. Also thinking that she had killed her father. I was correct on that too. Ding ding, baby. Very excited for that. Well, not excited that the poor guy died, but excited that I called that one. But then we had twists that I was not prepared for. Literally about 5 minutes after reading after my last update, we found out that there was a guy named Bobby who started messaging her. Come to find out, that is the child she had that she was told was dead. I did not see that coming at all. That was a big shock, and I like that a lot. Also, Nina's wookadooko. I mean, she's insane. She's insane. I kept thinking, oh, let's not judge. We don't know everything yet. I will say, once Nina found out all the stuff that Maggie did to her, I'd be pissed. I'd be angry. I think I get some of it. Finding out hey, my mom made me have a miscarriage at 14. That's horrible. Finding out, hey, the medication that my mom was giving me ended up creating me to be infertile. Then I had a child. She lied and said the child died. Did not happen. That would mess me up extremely. And then also finding out that, hey, Dad's buried in the yard. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to process for anybody, one of those things, let alone 4 and 5 of those things. At the same time, she literally finds that out boom, boom, boom. I'm like, well, not to say she should have locked her in the attic. I think there should have been a conversation, but I do understand why she was rightfully upset and angry. Very angry. But then again, this woman is psychotic. She's just insane. And then we find out, poor Mom has cancer. She's slowly withering away upstairs, which I'll be honest, I have cancer affect somebody really big in my life. So that was hard to read. That was watching this woman just slowly deteriorate was not great reading experience. This was suspense. This was a thriller. And then, I know I'm all over the place. I'm so sorry. There's just this book had so much shit happen in the last 50%. Then I'm like, who's this character? What's happening here? She reconnects with her son, but she is mommy dearest. I mean, it is intense. She follows him. She calls him all the time. She says that his family is not his real family. She's so codependent with her mom, which is something I talked about earlier, that's how she is with everything. I swear she didn't grow up from the time she was 14. She's just messed up. We also find out 2 things that I was like, oh. But then we find out it wasn't true. So it's a little confusing. She was apparently sexually by her dad, which absolutely horrible. And she killed her dad. That's why. Or at least that's the why that we're told. So when I hear that, I'm like, oh, that's horrible. Like, that poor girl, she was 14. And hey, being assaulted is an absolutely horrible thing, but by a parent is a whole other mental situation that must be horrible. So for that, I was like, oh my God, the trauma of that. Maybe it did make you disassociate and you just did something horrible one time. We come to find out, though, at the end, that's not exactly true. She, like, heard him on the phone that he was going to leave the family, and she just snapped. And that was the real reason why he was in her room. A lot of misdirection this book has. I love the misdirection, though, because I buy into it. I'm like, I'm here for this story plot, and now you go this. John Mars does this every time. And yet I'm surprised still, which is crazy. This poor guy, Bobby, all he wanted was to find a mom. That's all. He was like, I want to find my birth mother, and then found crazy. That's all he found, poor guy. He ends up going to the house and finding that his grandmother is alive, not dead, which is what he was told, and in a horrible situation. And she hurts him. She, like, chains him up in the basement, and now she's so psychotic. She's like, I have my whole family here. This is a legit line in the book. Her being like, I have my whole family here. 3 generations. Isn't it amazing? My mom's upstairs, my son's in the basement, and my father's in the yard. It's great. And I'm like, how to reason yourself where it's like, the way it's delivered is like, it's nothing. It's a Tuesday. And I'm like, the craziness. That is so unhinged, but I was so here for. It was such a good reading experience. I love a good psychological thriller. I love suspense. I also love when the narrator is like an unreliable narrator. And to be fair, they both are. Both of them are problematic. Maggie, woman, you're not getting off easy, okay? You were a bag of crazy yourself. I mean, she wanted to protect her child so much to the detriment of her becoming an adult. Some of the issues that she had, I'm sure if she had proper therapy or somebody to talk to, this could have been resolved, or at least managed with medication. Instead, she just ignored everything and went like, nope, don't see it, it's not a thing. It's like, can't ignore all these problems. We also find out that she also murdered a pregnant woman, the woman that I thought Maggie killed. She like went out to John's house to like be like, I had my baby and some horrible things happened, and she walked in and found a pregnant woman there and just lost her mind and did a number on that poor girl. Let me tell you, that was something to read. The end of this book, it was chef's kiss, so good. I was like, where's this gonna end? The ending is like, the epilogue part is like 10 months after everything that's going on. So I'm basically like just resigned to the fact that Maggie's gonna die, and this is just what it is, because she's never getting out of this attic. She has tried everything. And then the chick goes pyromaniac on us. I did not see it coming. She burned herself out that house. Nina went to work at the library and she gets a phone call. The house is on fire. The saddest part about it, though, Maggie really believed that her grandson had been murdered by Nina. So she set the house on fire, not realizing that her grandson was A, alive, and B, in the basement. So that was like a little like, oh, I feel so bad for her, because she would have never done it. But at the same time, if that didn't, they were going to be stuck. They were just going to be stuck. This chick, she has crazy cereal. I don't know. She was never going to let them leave. It was never going to happen. And poor Maggie, she was like hanging on by a thread. Her cancer had gotten extremely worse. Like, she wasn't going to make it much longer. Burned the house down, and they found the bodies chained up. What do you think that did for Nina? Cuff me, baby, because there's no way. That was a satisfying end. It was sad in the sense that, like, these all the characters that we read from are gone. Nina's going to jail for sure. A psych ward, baby. That's my guess. Maggie is dead, and so is Bobby. They're gone. And it's really sad, especially for Bob, because he didn't do anything. He was truly, truly an innocent character in this, but I think the book needed that. Because I feel like many of it you could understand, like, okay, Maggie did this, she did a lot of bad stuff. If I, like, squint, maybe I can understand Nina's reasoning. But with Bobby, you can't understand it at all. And you needed that to happen in the book to realize the full scope of how unhinged she is. I loved it. I thought the writing was great. I loved the characters. I loved the development. I loved seeing Nina's descent, because it is a descent into crazy. Because at first, she does seem unhinged, always, don't get me wrong. But just watching how she can make it all fine in her head and excuse all the bad behavior. It was a lot to read, but it was done so well. I loved it. I was going to give this book, honestly, 4 stars. I was like, 4 stars is good. It's a solid book. It's way better than a 3. When I give a book a 3, it's okay. I felt this was better than okay. This was not average. It was above average. But that ending. See, he does this to me, John Mars. Like, so many books, I'm like, oh, it's going to be a 4 maybe. Nay. That ending was a 5. So, final review of this book is that this is a 5-star read. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. I can't wait to read more from John Mars. I legitimately have like another 5 books of his to read eventually, which one of them I think I'm actually going to read in October, because it's supposed to be like a horror vibe, so I'm really excited for that. But I loved it. I thought it was great. I read this whole book in a day, less like 8 hours or something, on and off from the day. I could not put it down. I thought it was so good. Obviously there are spoilers in this. This is just how this is going to go. I'm not going to not say what I thought, or like the little twists and turns of the book. I would hope if you're watching this, you've already read the book, or it was a book that you weren't so interested in, was never really going to read, and just wanted to hear somebody's reaction to it. So that is the reaction to it. And the next time that you see me, I will be reading a whole different book. Hopefully I give it 5 stars. We'll see. You never know. You never know. This could be what if this is like all 5 stars? This is the first book, Megan, in a 2-week thing. Do not get this excited. Because that just, watch, I'll come back and like, it's a 1. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And I will see you guys next time with a whole new outfit. Bye. Hi guys, it's Megan Reads, and I'm here to talk about the next book I'm going to be reading, Near the Bone by Christina Henry. I am super excited to read this book. It has been on my TBR for years, I kid you not, and I've always wanted to pick it up. It's just been one of those books that's just been waiting. Everyone that I know that has read it said it's really good horror vibes, really creepy. Trigger warning though, I have been told that it deals with domestic violence, so obviously bear that in mind. It's going to be a little hard thing for me to read as well, but I've heard such great things that I have to check it out. And I love Christina Henry. I've actually read multiple of her books and loved every single thing that I've ever read from her thus far. We will see if this is going to be another thing I love. I really hope so. But what I know so far about this book is, from the synopsis, it's about a woman named Maddie and her husband William, and they live on a mountaintop, and they are in some kind of abusive relationship. I imagine some kind of power struggle. At least that's what it's kind of implying in the synopsis. She goes outside one day to her house just to look outside, and there is a fox that is torn to shreds, and you can tell it's been done by some kind of animal, but a large animal. And apparently where they live, that's not as common, is the assumption I'm getting. And she's trying to not tell William anything, because William will not react very well to this, which again makes me think abuse, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just like a misleading part of the synopsis. I'm not sure yet. And then 3 strangers show up, and she's trying to hide the strangers from them. It's like a whole thing. I'm very excited to see what it's exactly about, but it sounds really interesting. It sounds thriller vibes. There's apparently a monster in the woods. I'm also curious because it's talking about that there's a monster in the woods, which Obviously, I'm going to assume there is, but I wonder if they're going to also have a conversation on the domestic violence idea that he himself, William, is a monster. I've heard that kind of brought up, just like very, like, not trying to pay attention to other reviewers, but it's just something I've heard on and off throughout the years that this book has been out there, because it's been out for a while now and people really love this book. I'm so excited to check it out. I hope I love it. I will check back in with you guys when I'm at the 10% mark, and we will see what I think, and we'll find out what we think about Maddie and this guy William. I don't have the best vibes, but we'll see. Hi guys. So I have read a little bit of Near the Bone. I am into chapter 3 now, and I have some opinions. I hate William, first of all. Hate him so much, and I'm sure anybody that has read that book will agree with me, because he is a piece of shit. He is married to Maddie. Maddie is severely abused, which now I understand why everybody was like, good luck reading this. He is Bible thumping, and I'm saying Bible thumping because there's nothing wrong with being religious. This man, though, takes it to the extreme. That's a Bible thumper. He is a Bible thumping older man who beats her if she even like smiles or looks a certain way. And I had a vibe, we're going to see if I'm correct or not, about William basically from the beginning, that he's very terrified of losing her. Like, he does consider her property, and he's tried to have multiple children with her, and she has had many miscarriages, which is just so sad, first of all, like insanely sad. And I didn't realize how old she was until almost towards the end of chapter 2. She's 20, and he is way older than her, which makes me think young bride situation. And at first I was thinking, well, maybe it's one of those religious situations like Mormon almost, where maybe she was given to him very young, like 15, 13. We also don't know as of now like what time frame we're in at all. We don't know if it's the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 1800s. But Maddie dresses in petticoats and multiple layers of clothes, but I think that's a misdirect. I don't know why. I genuinely don't. All I keep thinking about is the movie The Village, where we think that the time frame is like way different than what it is, and it's actually in the now. And that's what I think, because Maddie says, like, I remember a time when there was a music box and it played like music, and she's kind of more or less, from what I gather, describing a CD. Like, that's what it sounds like. But whenever she brings up these little memories that she has, William says, like, you're crazy, that never happened, you're insane. And I wonder if she was taken from her family, and he's like not just like her husband, you know, quote unquote, but like a rapist and a murderer and stole her, and she has been lied to, because there's also like flashbacks of her being with him when she was like young, like had kid hands and all this stuff. Basically, from what I understand so far too, she finds the fox, it is dead. She runs back to tell William because she's very conflicted. If I tell him, he's gonna get mad. If I don't tell him and he finds out later, he's gonna beat me worse. This man is so horrible. I literally, I'm yelling as I'm reading, which is, I hope he gets eaten. And there is a bear, or it's not a bear, we don't really know, but it is an animal, and it is an animal that at some point walks on 2 legs, and I'm giving werewolf vibes, no idea if that's true or not. And they find blood and bones stacked up, but the bones are also sorted, which makes me think this is an intelligent creature. And everything is like the head, the heart, the breastbone. It's really gross. She slips in it and it's all bloody and gory, and he don't care nothing that she's almost hurt herself. On this trip, he has beaten her at least 5 times, and we are only on chapter 3. So it's a lot, but I do have some predictions. My predictions to start with are that this is a person. Also, William is very afraid of a person following them, finding her. Why finding her? Which again makes me think, like, this is not what it's supposed to be. Like, he has kidnapped her or something. And I also, for whatever reason, I think we're in a totally different time. I think we're in the now. And she believes it's a different time, or she's been manipulated to think so, because she's also not allowed to read anything but the Bible. And whenever he brings home a newspaper and she like tries to see if she gets hurt, which makes me think she's not supposed to know anything, and maybe she's still missing by her family. That's another thought that I have. I do know at some point, because it says it in the synopsis, she meets people, like 3 people end up, like, I guess trying to kill this animal too, or curious about this animal. That could be happening right now for all I know in the next chapter, because it kind of leaves you on a cliffhanger to the next chapter, and I'm really curious. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with that, because I feel like if William meets other people and they start to talk to her, she's not an idiot. She's going to put things together, because she hides a lot of her thoughts from him, because she has to, because he's this man. I keep saying this man, but this monster. Like, I think my previous prediction, like before I started the book, basically being like, he's a monster too. It's very early in the morning. I need caffeine, especially to get through this abusive fucking shit. But the writing is good. I'm listening to the audiobook too, so it's even more emotional, because you hear her like trembling and getting all upset and worked up, and you hear how level this guy is and how much he does not care about all the pain he is inflicting whatsoever. So right now, what I really want is for William to fall into like a pit and die, and for her to find these strangers, and for them to take her out and like help her, because I feel so bad for her. She's 20. That sits so wrong with me. And we do know for a fact they've already been married for years, because this has been going on for years. So there's no way this was at 18. I got it. Bullshit. But you know what? I'm going to come back and check in on the halfway point, and I just know there's going to be so much more. But these are my predictions. Clock it in. I think William is not really her husband. I think he kidnapped her or took her. I think we're in a totally different time frame than what is being assumed by the way that they're dressing. I just think that's like a religious angle of like, I want my wife to do everything I say. Ugh. Oh. I'm a wife, so I can say like, ugh, because that is so that's so disgusting. Also, if you want your wife to listen to you and be this amazing wife and do everything you say, guess what, dude? You gotta actually do some shit too, okay? Not just sit there like an asshole. Just saying. But yeah. So I'm gonna see if these predictions are right. And I wanna know what this animal is. Is it a bear? Is it a person? Is it a werewolf? Are they looking for her? How many years have passed between, like, from the start of their relationship to now? We don't know, but I'm assuming it's a long time, because of how certain time frames are being talked about. But I want to get back to this book, and then I don't, because it is hard. But I'm going to get back to it, and I will see you guys in a little bit, and I'll tell you if any of my predictions are right, or if we even know anything by that point. Who knows? This could be one of those books that the last 10 pages tells you everything. But we'll see. Bye. Hey guys, I have now gotten to the halfway point of this book, and oh my god, I love it. It's really great so far, and as you can see, I also have a new accessory. My book of the month box came, and this is what I got with it. How freaking cute is that? I love it. See, it pays to read. You get accessories sometimes if you do a really good job, which apparently I did. But let's get to what we think of the book so far. First of all, we still hate William, which I don't think is a shock. Actually, we hate William about 1,000 times more now, because he is also an R word. Big R word that I do not want to say on this channel, but I'm sure you can figure out what it is. Also, we now know how long he has had Maddie for. He has had Maddie since she was 8 years old. So definitely pedo situation here. Come to find out some more information. He stole her from her house. Her real name is not Maddie. Maddie is the name that he gave her. Her real name is Samantha Hunter, and she was taken when she was 8 years old. And 2 of the people that we found on the mountaintop that we have now been introduced to, one was CP and one was Griffin, and they are actually some kind of situation where they like look for monsters and look for like Bigfoot and all of that. They like have degrees in that. I have no idea exactly what that's called. They did say what it's called. Cannot remember the name for anything in this world. But that's what they're on the mountain for. And they have another friend with them. The friend has the car and is not on the mountaintop. William meets Griffin, and there's an argument that ensues. William has decided upon himself that he needs to kill the monster himself, and then God will give him sons. He's insane. We, number one, can't stand this man to begin with. Now we know he's an R word. We know he's a kidnapper. And he is just so horrible to Maddie. He beats her within an inch of her life. And it's also really sad because we read from the perspective of Maddie. So we see her in pain, we see her struggling, we see her mental up and down, and her trying to fight within herself for who the person she used to be, Samantha, the voice in her head saying, fight him, you can do it, screw this shit, do what you gotta do. And the other voice of like, no, you don't understand, he's just gonna keep hurting me. Like the person that has been groomed from 8 years old, that version of her, and the person who she was before she was taken when she was 8. So you see that clash a lot, and I thought that was done very well with the writing. I found that really emotional and jarring. And also, I'm listening to it on audio, so like I said before, you hear her like, no, and the panic and the freaking out, and that's really emotional. William decides that he's going to kill this monster, and he basically goes to town, gets all these traps, all this stuff. While he is gone, she's basically figuring out, like, I'm going to leave, because he left her outside in the snow to die. And she begins to realize, you know what, he never cared. I always knew he didn't care about me, more or less, but I never thought he would, like, let me die. And he literally didn't care that she could have died either from exposure for being outside in the winter, or this animal that he had to have heard trying to chase her. But that's another weird thing. This animal will chase her to a point but not hurt her, never hurt her. And I'm wondering if the animal, whatever it is, I don't know if it's truly an animal or some kind of hybrid animal, I don't really know, kind of sympathizes with her and can tell that she's a victim of circumstance and a victim from this guy, and what he really wants, this monster, is not to hurt her but to hurt William, which in that case I'm all for it, baby. You hurt William because he's a piece of shit. But we do meet CP, we do meet Griffin, and then we end up meeting Jen, who's the third person of that team to go looking for this monster. And they run into William again, and William tries to hurt them. They try to hurt William, and the one guy, Griffin, says over and over, like when he has seen Maddie, like, I know you, your face looks so familiar, why does it look so familiar? Come to find out, there are aged photographs of her, saying like she's a missing child, she's been a missing child, and they age the pictures up because she's been missing for 12 years. We also find out William's not just horrible, he's a murderer. He also killed her mother when he took her. And there's a sister named Heather that we know from the very beginning. She had a sister, younger, older, I'm not sure, I don't think that's been explicitly said, but there is a sister. And did the sister die? We don't know what's going on with that part of the story. I'm really excited to see, but so far I am right on the fact that this is taking place now. It's in this time frame, so it's not old school. He's just a religious nut that likes to dress people in olden time clothes, that he is some kind of abuser for sure, and now he's a kidnapper, which was something that I assumed, so I was right on that as well. And Maddie's real name was not Maddie. That part I didn't know. I didn't think that he would have changed her name. Also, there's an assumption that he's not just somebody that took her, like he knew her, knew the mom. So I'm a little creeped out, like, don't tell me this is her dad, because it's too much. I don't like it. It's too much, because he is absolutely horrible. But now we believe he's been, well, first of all, we know he's been injured because Jen hit his ass with a rock, so we like Jen, number one, love her. And Griffin tried to defend Maddie, who was getting beaten by this man. He's so like about property, and he thinks he owns the mountain too. It's like, bitch, you don't own the mountain, you don't own a person, number one, but you damn sure don't own a mountain. Relax it, okay? I'm sorry, I'm so animated because you have to hear me when I'm doing the audio. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm screaming at it because I hate this man so much. I hope that this monster eats him and comes back for seconds, baby, because I can't stand him. But let me calm it down just a little bit here. Now William is injured. They are all running, trying to find a place to leave to get off this fucking mountain. It's nighttime. There is a monster out there. Is the monster going to hurt them? We don't know, but we do know that CP, Griffin, and Jen went into the caves and saw some gnarly shit, and it's very much like, you shouldn't have went in the caves, like that's the person, that's the animal's home. So now there's a lot of anger. Also, when William did leave and went to town, he bought grenades and everything, and has put it all over the place. Some that Maddie knows where it is and some that she doesn't. So I'm also wondering if they're going to like have a landmine situation here, which is going to be so crazy. What are my predictions? I really hope William is dead, but at the same time, I don't think he is. I think that might be a misdirect, and it's going to be towards the end of the book, and Maddie is going to get her justice and kill him, or have him go to jail, one or the other. Maybe there's a maiming. I could deal with a maiming in some prison. Sounds good to me. We will see what happens with that. That's my assumption. I think out of CP, Griffin, Jen, and Maddie, someone's dying. I'm going to assume Griffin because Griffin already got hit in the head with a shovel by Crazy William. So that is my assumption there. I'm probably another person. I kind of hope, like, I hope it's not the girls. I hope Jen survives and Maddie survives. I hope we find out what's going on with Heather. I hope Heather, the sister, is still alive. I'm going to assume these people are still looking for Maddie all these years later, considering they have aged photographs of her. So they're putting her in the news a lot. So that's a good sign. The monster. I don't know where I'm getting this from, but in my heart, I feel like the monster cares for her. And I don't understand why I'm getting that vibe. I think the vibe I'm getting, the reason why, actually, if I think about it a little bit, is probably because it hasn't attacked her. It saw her, like, in distress and didn't kill her. There's blood in the air. Like, if you were an animal, you would go for these kinds of things to attack. But also, this is an animal that's very smart and can plan and problem solve, which is, if it is a true animal, that's terrifying. The writing is great. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying the characters. Maddie breaks my fucking heart. Like, literally, I can feel it in my chest cavity. I feel so bad for her because she is 20 years old. She was taken when she was 8 years old. And she is very childlike, very naive, very a mouse, very terrified, which rightfully so, who wouldn't be? She has gone through some horrible things. And I can't even imagine the rest that I'm sure we're going to be told as this book progresses. I hate William. I hate this man. I feel so bad for Maddie. And also, there's a moment where Jen is having a fight with Griffin about, like, we should get off the mountain, and Maddie's, like, listening, and she's like, don't do it, Jen, don't talk to him like that, because he's gonna hit you, because she just assumes that every man is evil and is going to hurt a woman, and that made me feel so sad. I have been in abusive relationships, nowhere near what Maddie has gone through, nowhere near, but that feeling of, like, don't, everybody's the same. That fear that's in the back of your head when you've gone through something so traumatic, that really hurt. That was hard to read. But I'm really excited to continue reading this book. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. I can't wait to see where we're going. I just want William to die. Like, that's my only wish for my prediction next. And that they get off the mountain, and I think Griffin's gonna die. I will check back in, and we will see if I'm right with any of that. Hopefully Maddie gets off this mountain and she finds her sister. That's what I truly, truly hope. But I will update you very, very soon, me and my hat, and let you know what I think at the end. Hi guys, so it is now officially much later in the same day, and I am done with the book. Near the Bone was a really good book. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. But before we go to, like, what I actually thought of the entire book, let's go from where we were to where we are now. Okay, predictions. Were any of my predictions right? Yes and no. Griffin, dead. The monster picked him like nothing, and that was it for him. Jen, unfortunately, got really hurt in a bear trap that asshole William put, and she got really sick from it, and the characters couldn't figure out, like, why was she getting so sick? Why was she, like, basically passing out and wouldn't wake up? Come to find out, the trap had poison on it, so she was also getting weakened and sicker, and she was taken as well by the monster. And these people weren't just taken. Oh my god, it was kind of brutal though. They were ripped apart, bodies shown, everything, no heart, you could say hello, hello, hello inside them and it would echo. That's how bad it was. And they were like hanging up by trees. It was very Blair Witch-esque. So I was like, oh, this is creepy. Okay. I like the horror. The horror vibes I was really enjoying. I felt so bad for Maddie. She was just going through so much the entire book. And then also dealing with William, dealing with finding out and really remembering the truth of who she was and her past life. And then on top of all of that, there was also the fact that now she's with strangers, which she hasn't been with a stranger or someone she wasn't super familiar with since she was 8 years old. That's really traumatic. That's really difficult all by itself, let alone you put a friggin' monster somewhere. You know, it just gets friggin' crazy. And then she was hanging out with CP alone in the cabin, and you know, obviously he's frustrated, he's upset, he's going through things just as well, and he's panicking, and his panicking is making her feel like she's going to get injured, she's going to get hurt. It was a lot of tension. The tension in this book was high. Also, we didn't know where the hell William was. He had gone back to the cabin dragging his leg. Why did the man still get legs? I don't know. The monster couldn't eat him first. I feel like that should have been the first one, but okay, monster, okay. He ended up sleeping outside the cabin. I liked the book. I enjoyed the book. It was a hard read because it was supposed to be a hard read. I mean, reading about abuse and the R word and this poor girl going through these horrible things and her mom died. Like, all these things were so atrocious. Of course it's going to be a hard read. That doesn't mean that it wasn't a good read just because it was a difficult read. But I did struggle with certain aspects of it, not because of the subject matter exactly, but because after a while, when you're reading a character like Maddie, and she's always very mousy and always very afraid, and she's always very nervous and anxious, granted, it is totally understood, but you do hope she slowly gets out of that situation, and that does eventually happen, but not quick enough in my personal opinion. It was like the last 10 pages. All of a sudden she really had, you know, the gall and the balls to really go for what she wanted, and even then she was such a timid little thing, which I get, but you know what, thinking about it, I would have understood it more because, as I said before, there's this whole part where she is talking to like who she used to be in her head, and Samantha, which is who Maddie really is, used to be the strong, opinionated, I don't care anything kind of kid that never thought anything would hurt her. And whenever she's faced with an obstacle, she hears who she used to be, which I think is a beautiful moment of symbolism of who we were and who we are, and trauma and really bad things happening to us. And I get that. But knowing that she was the kind of person at some point in time that was strong and tough, and never seeing that truly materialize again, was kind of like a tease, and that got a little like at some point in time. But we also find out that this animal, it has to be an animal, we don't fully know what it is, we never go bear, wolf, we don't really know, this very huge, I'll say it's huge, very huge animal is attacking those who he perceives to be a threat, which I get, and then those who are weakened. Griffin had gotten hit in the head, so he was weak, and Jen got hurt in the leg, so it's like, you know, not going for like the prey. So I understood that as well, but towards the end of the book I was getting frustrated with the fact that William, we didn't know if he was dead, we didn't know if he was alive. I was waiting for this final like confrontation between him and Maddie, and that's what I wanted. I really wanted, if anything to happen, it to be her, like I said, and it was her, but it wasn't done, in my opinion, with enough force, with enough malice. There should have been more of, like, honestly, I'm sorry, but let's be realistic, her beating him, her like really taking out some aggression and some rage. I understand that maybe the author didn't want it to symbolize like her becoming like him, but to be quite honest, this person tortured and R'd her for 12 years, and all he gets is a little shove off a mountain. I mean, granted, that's a fall far. Fall. He's going. He's not making it. But he deserves something more, in my opinion. Also, the way it ended was abrupt. It was really abrupt. It was, okay, they got away from the animals. Maddie lives. Very happy with that information. And so does CP. But CP is missing a limb. So the poor guy, he went through it, I will say. And he saw both of his friends hung up on trees with Their insides just flapping. So he's lots of trauma now, lots of trauma, lots of therapy needed for him and Maddie for many reasons. But the way it ended, it was lackluster in my opinion. I wanted there to be more closure with the actual animal. Like, what was it? Number one, why was it attacking, and why did it just come out of nowhere? Maddie says multiple times, like, we've been on this mountain for 12 years and never seen this thing. Why is it here now? Was it a breeding situation? Did somebody bring a wild animal? We never find out any information. And at the very end, when she's getting in the car and she's leaving, her and CP, she looks back and she more or less sees that it is one animal and then a baby. So maybe it was a mother protecting its child, which I get that. You know, mama bear, we don't play. I understand. But I just thought there was going to be something more, something supernatural, something connecting to Maddie even. Maybe it even being like a manifestation. There never really was an animal. Her repression was the animal, or it was really William as the actual horrible guy version of like a monster, and then somehow in her mind he manifested into this other being, this larger than life, which is what it feels like when there is somebody in your life that is causing so much pain and problem. People will look and go, that person, but in reality when you look at them, you don't see a person, you see this bigger than life monster with dripping fangs. I thought we were maybe going there, and I thought that was going to be really interesting. We didn't go there. Also, we have an angle that happened out of nowhere because this guy, William, I mean, he doesn't work. He never leaves. So how does he have money? And apparently he has lots of money. Come to find out, he is apparently a drug dealer in heroin. What? Like that out of nowhere. Left field. Yeah, he's a drug dealer, heroin, and has thousands upon thousands of dollars just like in a chest. And I was like, where did that come from? I'm like, so random. Okay. She does steal some of the money, so give her that. Good for you, Maddie, on that one. Sorry, Samantha. But it was just like the most random fucking thing ever. I was like, okay. And then the way it ends, my first, you know what it is? I hate cliffhangers. No, I'm going to take that back. I do not mind cliffhangers, because cliffhangers that give you like an idea that you can just think on, that can be fun. Actually, there's quite a few books that I feel like leave on a cliffhanger, but you're like, in my heart, I feel like it ends this way. Or there's a hint or a direction going. She literally goes to the police station, says, my friend, he's hurt outside, you know, he's missing an arm, go check on him, and what her real name is. But we don't find out anything about the sister. We hear about Heather the entire book, and we find out nothing about Heather. We don't even know if she ever sees her again. Is she real? Because when she asks everybody about her sister, like, she's been in the news and the press, and nowhere ever talks about the fact that she had a sister at a sleepover, ever. Like, there's no pictures. It was weird, and the ending just, it didn't hit for me. It would have hit better if we had like a real, like, maybe an epilogue. You know, some people don't like epilogues. Personally, I think that gives good closure to a friggin' story sometimes. And this one needed an epilogue. It was well written, and it was entertaining, and I liked the atmosphere. I did enjoy the story as a whole, and it made me pissed. Any story that elicits emotions, making you mad, making you sad, making you confused, making you even be like, why are you going down that store? Go this way. That's good. A book is supposed to make you feel all that, just the way that a film is supposed to. So I admired that it did that. It made me mad. And guess what? It did its job then. But the ending, I didn't like. The drug dealer twist was out of fucking left field. I did not like that. I got really annoyed and bored with Maddie and like the meek mouse of it all. Also, to be fair, I was listening to an audiobook, and the narrator was great, but she was very whiny, very little kiddish. And I was like, please stop. Your voice is grating on my goddamn nerves at this point, of her always being afraid and terrified and hiding in corners. And then also wanting to leave William and then not wanting to leave William. I get that, you know, Stockholm Syndrome. It's a legitimate thing, but it's just, I was struggling. I was just struggling with completely identifying with the main character by the end. And I feel like I understood her at the beginning, I understood her at the middle, but once we got towards the end, she drove me a little crazy, and the story got lost somewhere for me because of that. So, Near the Bone by Christina Henry. What will I rate it? I'm struggling a little because I want to say a 4. I want to because it was good. It was a good book. But the 3 problems that I have with it, I feel like are significant problems to have with the book that you're supposed to enjoy. So I don't believe in half scores on this because it just gets too muddled with you can do 0.5, 0.8, no. I'm just going to give you a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, or a 5. This is a 3. I think a 3 is fair. It was a good read. I did enjoy it. Was it phenomenal? No. Did it make me think of things? Yes. But the ending just... wow. It just killed it for me. So unfortunately, this one is a 3. But I had fun. I had a good time, and I hope that you guys did too. Maybe you guys loved it. Maybe you guys hated it. I don't really know. I guess I'll find out when this goes up. But the next time you see me, I will be talking about a whole other book. So hopefully that one will be great. I have high hopes for it. It's actually a book of the month pick that I have. It is right over here. I'm just going to turn. Hold on. It is Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara is the next book that I'm going to be reading, and I'm really excited about it. It's supposed to be really creepy. There's someone in the attic. I mean, come on, it's going to be a little freaky. I'm very excited to read that, so I will see you next when I talk about what it's about. Bye. Hi guys, it's Megan Reads, and I just thought I would come right back and get right into the next book I'm going to be reading, just so you know, because I just finished literally like 10 seconds ago what I thought about Near the Bone. So while I'm here, I'll talk about the next book that I'm going to be reading, which is Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara. I'm excited for this book. I've heard a lot of really good things about it, and I love a thriller, so I'm super excited to check this out. Now, the synopsis. You ready? Since this is a physical book, I'm just going to read you the synopsis. Ready? Whoop, let's go. You thought you were home alone. Anya is enjoying a relaxing bath when she hears a noise coming from the ceiling. Through the open bathroom door, she sees the attic hatch swing down. A masked figure drops to the floor. 30 seconds later, Anya is dead. You're not afraid of being alone in the dark. You're afraid that you're not alone. Across town, Anya's old school friend Julia sees an online video of a masked figure climbing out of an attic. She suddenly realizes why the footage is eerily familiar. It was filmed inside her own house, in a luxury gated community designed to keep intruders out. Why would a stranger target Julia? Unless, of course, it's not a stranger at all. I am very excited to read this. I have absolutely no idea if this is a brand new author, if this is a debut. I'm checking. Oh, she's Irish. She lives in Dublin. I am Irish. Hey, love an Irish person. I'm excited to read it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. The fact that somebody is in the attic and they're coming down, oh, that freaks me out. Home invasions is so freaking scary. I can't. Although I do love it in a horror movie. I love it in a horror movie. Do I love it in my books? We're going to see. I'm happy that I will be reading this when people are home. I have a full house of people, usually always with me. So at least I'm not going to be terrified that, you know, someone's just going to come in. Also, I am a New Yorker in Manhattan. We have no attics, so that does help the situation just a tad for me. But I'm super excited to check it out, and the next time you see me talking about this book, sorry if I'm out of frame, there we go, I am going to be 10% in, and I'll let you know what I think. Bye. Hi guys, I'm back to talk about the book that I have officially been reading now, Someone in the Attic by Andrea Mara. I like it. So far, so good. It's pretty good. I'm not that far into it. I'm only 10% in, so I'm about, let's actually see, what's the exact number here? I am 42 pages in. So, not anything too much has happened yet. I mean, a lot has happened, and then not a lot has happened. We've set up some stuff, so I'm pretty interested in it. First of all, we find out off the bat, like they said in the synopsis, Anya, She's gone. She's dead. We also find out she's kind of a bitch. We find that out pretty fast. She's in the tub. She's drinking wine. She's talking about leaving her boyfriend. We know she's cheating on him. We also know she hates dogs. So immediately we're not a big fan of Anya. We also find out that she's friends with a woman named Julia, who has just moved back to Ireland. She was living in California and she made it rich and came back home with her family, and she's a little jealous. It's like that frenemies kind of situation happening here. Oh, you can see my cat in the background peeking up. So there's that. She also has another friend named Eleanor, and they're going to all meet for drinks in a couple of days now that Julia is back. So she's in the she's in the tub, she's got some wine, she's relaxing. Sounds like a good idea. I don't think it is. I don't think you should ever drink in a tub. Just saying, okay? I don't think that's really the smartest idea. But she keeps hearing this noise in the attic over and over. But apparently her fiance boyfriend, I'm going to say boyfriend because he hasn't proposed yet, but she knows he's going to. So we're just going to say boyfriend because the ring didn't get on the finger there. There goes my cat. She's left. So that happened. And come to find out that he had said something along the lines of, oh, there's mice in the attic, and put like humane traps. At least it's humane. He's an animal lover, so we like him at least. Come to find out, like, she's hearing all these noises in the attic, and she assumes, okay, it's that's what it is. It's the mice or whatever. But it's a person, and the person is coming down the stairs to kill her. I also really like how the book is told actually from Anya's perspective. It basically starts with being like 4 minutes before she died, and then talking about it 3 minutes before, 2 minutes before. So that part's really interesting. We know from the onslaught that she's gonna get it. We also know because of the synopsis, so it wasn't like some big giveaway or anything. But the main character of the actual book is Julia, the friend that I said had moved back. So we talk, I literally have names written down because there are so many characters already, and I don't want to get confused of like the names of who everybody is. So Julia is back in town. She's with her daughter Isla, I don't know how to pronounce that right, and her son Luca. They have started a new life back in Ireland. They're from there originally, and her ex-husband Gabe moved back as well. I thought they were just like recently divorced, and then as I read more, they have been separated for like 9 years or divorced for 9 years, but they're still really good friends. So that's great. We like to see co-parenting work. So he seems like a good guy as of now. So excited. He, though, years ago, Gabe, used to date Anya, but it was in college. So I don't think that's going to be like a big, situation. Also, they just moved back. So it's not like they've had time to see each other or have an affair or anything. But who knows? It could have been, you know what? I take it back. It could have been something, because we know Anya is seeing somebody and she's like, he's better than Chris in every way, and sexy and da-da-da. So what if it was him and that's one of the reasons he did move back, but telling his family like, oh no, I'm moving back because I miss you guys and I want to be with you guys. You know what? He's a good guy. So he could actually be an ass. We don't really know yet. And then there is Eleanor. Eleanor is Julia's friend that they were all really close together. It was Julia, Anya, Eleanor. My brain just went, who? Eleanor. And apparently there was a fourth friend. We have some drama happening. There was a fourth friend named Donna. And something happened to Donna 20 years ago, and Donna is no longer with us as well. Because one thing that gets talked about is when they all find out that Anya died, it's, oh my God, now there's only 2 of us left. So, and Julia and Anya have not been on good terms for over 2 years. There was a business situation and they butted heads. Anya was known as being really problematic and dramatic, and basically wanted Julia to help her do like some business stuff, and then didn't take her advice, and then got mad that she ended up getting messed up in the situation. A real blamer situation here. Hold on. Oh, coffee is so needed. It's very early in the morning, but I got a little boy, so I get up very early. But it seems good so far. Oh, we also found out Anya is dead. We know how she died, but the reports in the media is not that way. The reports are that she was drinking wine in her tub and slipped, and that's how she died. Also, oh my God, how horrible. The boyfriend was away in LA. This book takes place in Ireland, and he didn't find her for days until he came home. So she was just decomposing in that water. I'm like, oh, visuals. I don't like it. Also, oh, huge. I apologize for me being all over the place. It is extremely early in the morning, as I have said, so that's probably why I'm just like jumping about. I swear by the next time I update it, my brain will be far better because I will have finished this cup of coffee that's right over there. But another thing that's really crazy is Isla, or Isla, whichever way you say it, Julia's 13-year-old daughter tells her mom, like, Mom, you're never going to believe what is on my phone through TikTok. And she's like, oh God, what is it? What could it possibly be? And she basically says, it's our house. It's our house, and there's somebody coming out of the attic in our house. So it's kind of tying in to what happened at Anya's house. I mean, Anya's house is really Chris's house, but still, you know what I mean, boyfriend. So what happened to her, it's kind of the same setup. So it's like, is it the same guy? Is this person targeting people? Because Julia just came back. She hadn't been living in Ireland in like 20 years. So it's not a situation of how we were waiting, you know, maybe they were waiting for her to come back. Also, something happened to, I told you, this friend Donna. And I wonder if Anya's death is somehow all put together for Donna, because Julia has said, in not outwardly exactly, but hinted that she blamed Anya for what happened to Donna. So I am really curious to see that. Also, the son, Julia also has a son named Luca who is like 10 or 11 years old, and he hears somebody in the attic one night and starts freaking out. So like, this book, it's giving me creepy vibes like nobody else. I am creeped out. I'm interested in the story. I do think we've been introduced to so many characters just really fast that I'm just trying to get my bearings a little bit about who is who, and everybody has obviously a very different personality. So you're just trying to assert how we're going to go in the story from here. Do I have any thoughts? I think somehow Anya is connected to Donna. Like Donna did, however she died. She was obviously young, so it was some kind of accident and or murder. I don't know. Could be murder. We're not sure. So I'm excited to see that. I'm also curious, who's the person that's in the attic? Was Anya targeted just Anya, or is it the group of friends? Because Eleanor had made a statement like, oh, there's only 2 of us left. So are they slowly... I don't know. Also, they're all wealthy women. These are all women that are affluent. I really hope I'm saying that right. Sorry, guys. Rich. There we go. So are they being targeted for a money purpose? But I feel like this, if this is anything, it's kind of a revenge situation, because it's not isolated. It's not isolated if it happened to Anya, and now it could be happening to Julia from that video. I don't know yet. Like, we're only 40 something pages in, and the book is 300 and something. So I mean, I have a good chunk of this thing left. I feel like in the next, like when I check in again after the 50% mark, we'll know a hell of a lot more. And who knows, there could be like 100 more people on this list that I have right here of names, so I just don't forget one, because a little confusing. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited. I'm liking the writing so far. The writing is really good. I don't want to put the book down. I'm really interested in how the story is being told. So far, I like Julia. Anya's dead, so she's gone. Doesn't matter if I like her. She seemed like a bitch, but she seemed like she would have been an interesting character. So if we get more backstory on her and more info on her, I think I'll be interested in that frenemies dynamic. That's always fun to read about. Eleanor, we know, is their other friend who is extremely wealthy as well. So, and they've all known each other since they were kids. So she could have some fun backstory information. There's Chris, the guy that dated Anya, so I'm sure he's going to be somewhere in it, because right now they're planning Anya's funeral, so I'm sure we'll like physically meet him. We've heard about him but haven't met him yet. So I don't know. We're going to see how this goes. This is my first update, and it's now 10 minutes of me basically being like, I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to see. This could be good. But I do enjoy it so far. The writing is really good. The characters seem all interesting as of now. I don't really have any suspicions yet, because it's kind of early on in the novel. Although I do think, like, it's a connection. Somebody is targeting these people. Why? I don't know. It would be so interesting if it was Julia, and Julia had come back to town, killed Anya, and now is like pretending that she's being targeted when in reality she's not. And maybe this situation of there being like somebody in the attic is somehow connected to like a prank or something that they did on Donna. No idea. If I could be totally wrong, it's just like I'm thinking crazy thoughts, crazy assumptions, and like very like what would be a cinematic situation. So that's my thought right now. Probably way the fuck off, but we will see. And I will be back in the 50% mark and tell you what I think. Do I know any more information? We'll see. Bye guys. Hi guys, it's me, and I am back to talk about the book that I'm reading. I am officially 50% in, and it is going really well. I really like it. It's really good. The writing is really good. I like all the characters so far. I'm intrigued where we're going with this. Let's update where we were last time. So we now know more about Donna, the friend that I was talking about. They were all friends growing up until they were 25 years old. We found out that when Donna was 25, she died. In some way, we don't really understand how as of yet, but we do know the night that she died, she got extremely drunk with all of them. They all went to a club together. And Donna was, for all accounts, the wallflower one in the group, the one that was kind of awkward socially, but was really nice and really sweet. And apparently none of them have truly, as a group, been exactly the same since whatever happened to Donna. We do know she died, so she's definitely not around anymore. But we also found out some weird stuff. First of all, Julia's house. We still got crazy going around. There's still somebody in the attic, we assume. More videos have come forward. Julia is a frustrating character, just a tad, because her daughter, Isla, keeps seeing the videos and being like, Mom, look, like this is a new video of our room, a new video of our house. She keeps thinking they're all faked, and then she keeps blaming her daughter. Like, oh, this was you, or you edited things together. And I'm like, oh my God, you're so fucking frustrating by this point. The first time, fine. The second time, fine. Okay, I'll give you 3. But by the 12th time, we should probably be taking this more seriously. Which soon Julia does, and she goes to the police, and the police are like, this isn't really a crime. Nobody's harassing you. Nobody's talking in the video. Your daughter apparently had these images out anyway, so it's a whole situation of maybe it could be considered harassment, trying to figure that whole thing out. But in one of the videos, they see a piece of art that Julia's ex-husband is an artist. It's his piece that was missing from years ago. Come to find out, that piece of art was hanging in Anya's house when she died. So now she's feeling the connection to Anya and what went on with her. But as of right now, the authorities don't know what really happened to Anya. They genuinely still think that she just drowned in her bathtub. But now there's a lot of conversations about Anya might have been having an affair on her boyfriend Chris at the time, which we kind of speculate because at the beginning, we, as you know, reading the book, we saw her talking about leaving Chris for another guy. Also, we have to get into Isla. I'm never going to say this name right. I'm so sorry. Julia's 13-year-old daughter. We have found out some more information about her because when they left and they moved to Ireland, they basically say that the reason that they left, San Diego, which is where they had been living for the last 20 years, is because, oh, they're going to be starting school soon in college and all that, and it's cheaper in Ireland. I've never been to Ireland. I know it's absolutely gorgeous. My aunt has gone on many an occasion, but maybe it is cheaper there. I would assume everything's fucking expensive as hell in the US, so I'll believe that. But they don't. The kids are like, no, there's another reason we moved back. What's the reason? And at first, when I started the book, I thought, oh, maybe it's because, you know, her and her husband just got a divorce. Well, no, they have the weirdest relationship that I love, by the way. Let me tell you, co-parenting, big thumbs up. They divorced 9 years ago, but still live extremely close together for the sake of the children, and they're still best friends. So they didn't move back together because they just got a divorce or something traumatic just happened with them as a couple. We come to find, we come to find out that Isla, was getting bullied. And she apparently did some kind of retaliation against the girl. And the family was going to press charges against her. It had something to do with the phone and something that was put up on the internet. I'm guessing it's something not legal and not good because she's underage. Draw your own conclusions of what the youths do with internet. good at all. No. So that's why she took her daughter and took her family and left, because if they left the States, there would be no charges. But she, the daughter, does not know that's why they left. And I'm kind of like, just tell her, like, she needs to take responsibility for her actions, and she can't take any responsibility if she doesn't know she did anything wrong. Look, I'm a mom. I get protecting your children, but not to their detriment. It does not help them grow or learn if they don't even know they did something wrong, because one day you're not going to be there to hold their hand. So that, like, was really frustrating. I'm like, I understand wanting to protect your kid, but at least tell her what she did. Like, she doesn't even know. That's kind of shitty. And also, she's going to feel so responsible that they fled the country and it's her fault. I don't like that very much. Julia, as I said, is a frustrating fucking character. I'm really frustrated with her, like, denials on what is going on around her. And considering she has been in some, you know, situations, like her best friend died 25 years ago, for Christ's sake. So she has seen some things. And the fact that she's just doing like, nope, don't see it. I don't want to see it. It's a little ridiculous to me. Sorry. But we're also finding out there is like a slew of people that could be connected to this like house situation. They have a cleaner named Paulina. Sorry, I wrote it down. I have a list this big of fucking names for this book. It's insane. They just keep adding new people, and I'm like, oh god, now there's another one to remember. But she's an elderly cleaner. No, I shouldn't say elderly, because she's only 60. That is not elderly, damn it. I don't care what anybody says. She's 60 years old, and apparently she knew Donna, and she knew them when they were younger. So I'm like, does she have a connection to whatever happened years ago? I feel like I can't trust anyone in this book, which I will say is good. Like, it's good. I trust nobody. I don't even trust the kids. I don't trust Isla. I don't trust Luca, who's 10. I'm like, maybe he's in on it. I don't even know anymore. Especially, it doesn't help that all of this is over social media. It's all on TikTok. And I'm like, oh, I feel old. Oh, I feel so old. Like, TikTok, I'm like, I don't know nothing about TikTok. My cousins know TikTok. I am an Instagram girly, and back in the day, MySpace. I'm being quiet for the fact that MySpace was a thing, and that's how old I am that I used it. Moving right along. I don't know what's going on. I don't fully know what's going on with any of the characters. They all have interesting backstories, though. Now we're learning more about Gabe, too. Gabe is Julia's ex-husband. They have been separated, as I said, 9 years, and they have a really great relationship. They're very honest with each other. They're great friends. They're great co-parents. But he's hiding some stuff. Money is going missing out of a joint account that they still have. I'm like, look, I hope to God I never get divorced from my husband. But if I do, this is the situation I would want. Unless we find out in the end that Gabe is like a master manipulator trying to kill people. Oh, please, let's not find that out. Then I definitely don't want this relationship that I'm going like, oh, perfect. If you gotta get divorced, this seems kind of perfect. I'm also suspecting that Gabe is dating or was dating Anya. But I don't understand why that would be a problem, because they're divorced. They've been divorced for years. And he has seen other people, and so has she. So I'm a little confused. But one thing that has just happened, it's exciting, is we are getting a connection to whatever happened to Donna and how she died. Because one of the things that was left at Anya's house when she died in the bathtub was a magazine. And the magazine was on a fertility page, and number one, she never wanted kids. She didn't want to have a family, so that was a little weird. And there was a jade rabbit on top of it, and they were like, you know, in a bathtub, if you're reading, why would you even need a paperweight? That's so awkward and weird. And then Eleanor starts hearing shit in her attic, calls up her friend and says, hey, Julia, can you come over and stay with us? I'm a little freaked out. My husband's out of town. Will you come be with me? And she's like, of course I'll come. They go there. All of Eleanor has 3 children, and they're all like younger kids, like 6, 7, like 9, like that kind of age bracket. And when they go downstairs, there's the little girl holding a jade rabbit, and is like, somebody put this in my bag. And she starts to realize, like, there are some connections. This is weird. And then when she looks up the rabbit, she's like, why is it giving me bad vibes? It's so weird. And then she's like, oh my God, it's Jade. Jade as in Jade, which was what they had called themselves as a group when Donna was still alive. So now they're thinking that maybe this is all a connection to that situation. I think it's a little bit of a leap for them, but at the same time, I guess I get it. But to be like, it has to involve Donna because if we say what this thing is, it spells jade, and that we're leaping. We're leaping a little, but I can also kind of see the leap because this all happened after Julia moved back. Julia moved away right after Donna died, so they haven't all been in the same place in 25 years. She comes back to town, or is planning to come back in town, and then Anya dies. Now Julia is getting all this weird stuff like in her attic, and she thinks that somebody's up there, which is so creepy. She's also checked it out. She also thinks that so many of her neighbors, there's a guy named Alistair who is such like a cute little guy. He's just nice and sweet and wants to be friendly to everybody, but he's one of those guys that doesn't realize he's like overtly friendly, which can sometimes come off weird. So she confronts him thinking it's him, and at one point I did think it was him too, because one of the things that was found in the attic is an AirPod, and he talks to her, and every time he talks to her, he only has one AirPod in. And he's also talking about things like, oh yeah, you know, here's this book I knew you would like because you like this author. Here's this that's in your fridge. Like, how do you know all this? Come to find out, it's a very innocent explanation. So you kind of feel bad for Alistair. At least it seems innocent. We will see. There is also a personal trainer who, for whatever reason right now, I'm totally space cadetting on his name. But I have this weird feeling that he is going to be somehow connected to this, and it's going to be him, because we know one thing: Donna had an older brother. Because we have oh, that's another thing. We have some cool flashbacks that start happening out of nowhere. Wasn't expecting it in this book whatsoever. And now with the flashbacks, we're learning like about who Donna was as a person, and all of them when they were younger, when they were 20, 25 years old. But she had an older brother, and she obviously died, and that must have been very traumatic. Also, one thing that is said is the personal trainer says, like, you would never, if you had seen a picture of me years ago, you would have never assumed, like, I look so different. I was a video game player. I was quite heavy. Like, it's all like talked about in that way. Like, you would never recognize me. So I am wondering, is that him? Because he says something happened one day and my whole life changed. And I'm like, was that what happened? Because oh my God, I'm thinking about it. It makes more sense because she's been gone, Julia, for all these years. So, oh my God, is it him? That would be kind of interesting. I kind of like that. But I still think Paulina is somehow involved. It would be interesting if Paulina was either Donna's mom, and like, because it would make sense. Somebody has to be in the house filming things. And if Paulina is the cleaner, it would make sense that she's unsupervised the most to do it. But I don't know. I am debating, I'm wondering. Or Paulina could have been like an aunt, even. Because it's like, hey, my niece died, and my sister is devastated, my nephew is devastated. That could be a cool, interesting thing. We don't know what's going on with Gabe either. I'm all over the place today. But Gabe is hiding something, and money is going missing. But I wonder now, the more I think about it, if that whole situation with Isla, maybe he's paying off that family and not telling Julia about it, and just being like, oh yeah, no charges were ever filed, when in reality he's paying them under the table, like, to not go to the police, even though she's in Ireland. So there's no, like, they're not going to send her ass back, especially when she's under the age of 18. I can't see that working out well. She's 13 years old. But I can hear my dog barking outside. Yeah. But I have some predictions. Those are the predictions so far. When we come back, I will obviously know all of the good juicy details. So I will see you guys then. Bye. Hi guys, I am back to give you the final thoughts on this book. I just finished it a little while ago, and it is, oh, my hair is crazy. Oof, it is much later in the day, and it has been a day. So this book, someone in the attic. I wish someone had come down that attic and just ended this fucking book. I wanted to like it. I was enjoying it. Genuinely, I was. And you know what? You know when you have one of those days and nothing is going right, and your kid is driving you mad, and the house isn't getting cleaned right, and you're doing other things, and you think to yourself, was it really the book or was it the day? And I've been sitting here thinking and thinking and thinking, and the day was crazy, don't get me wrong, as all mothers will understand, that happens. But the book didn't help. The book frustrated me and made me madder and more tired. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I'm going to give it I'm not going to say what I'm going to give it yet till the end. It was so convoluted. I found myself being like, what? Where are we going with this story? Look, I like a misdirect. I like being like, oh, thought it was this and it's this. That's fun. This was not fun. It was annoying. There were so many misdirects. At one point, I had said earlier, we thought that maybe Drew was the brother. Like, that was a thought that I had. And I was like, oh, that could be fun. Like, the Donna connection is her brother. And first of all, I found out that that wasn't true. But that was a good misdirect. I liked that misdirect. I was like, okay, hey, I'm back in. Okay, I was getting bored. Because when I thought that, it was another, like, 50, 60 pages before Julia and Eleanor thought, oh, wouldn't that be a coinkydink? And I was like, oh my God, is this book going to be like that? Where like the reader is getting the information and figuring things out so much quicker than the narrator, which gets really annoying. And then that happened and I was like, okay. But then I found out, no, that was wrong. Like, Drew is not that guy. Drew is who he says he is. So I was like, oh, okay, well, that's a cool misdirect. That's interesting. But then we have backstories that are weird. We find out that Gabe isn't doing anything shady exactly, but he believes he was drugged at one point in America and got a woman pregnant. And the woman that he thinks he got pregnant is the associated with the Iceless situation. And I was like, my head is hurting. Like, there's just too many connections that don't make frigging sense. And I was like, so Isla bullied a girl in school. She got back at her because this girl was bullying her horrifically and being horrible, and she used her friend's phone and said like, oh, to this boy that she likes, come to the house, and gave the address out to this boy who was 12 years old. Come to find out, apparently the boy that was 12 wasn't really 12. He was really like 40 years old, got into the house and unfortunately assaulted this 13-year-old girl. And the mother was like, I blame your daughter and it's her fault. And I'm like, annoyed. I'm annoyed because I'm like, let's all use our brains here. First of all, this is a horrible situation. If this situation did occur, this poor kid who did nothing wrong, you know, she was getting bullied and this thing happened. That's bad. But for the mom to be like, this grown man came to the house and I'm going to press charges on your daughter, because her daughter didn't know that this was an adult male. She thought this was a 12-year-old kid. And yes, I'm sure charges could be filed about like using the phone and stolen property. But to make the assumption and the leap that she knew that this was a grown-up and that this would ever happen is just astounding. And the fact that the mom, these are grown women, by the way, who were like, let's flee the country. I'm like, that was annoying. And I was like, where's the sense? This book lacks a lot of logic and it just jumps all over the place. So you're just a little left like, what's happening here? Alistair, who I thought we liked, I was like, okay, it's definitely not him. It wouldn't make sense. We come to find out that this whole situation had absolutely nothing to do with Donna. Donna, we do find out, did die. She fell off of a roof and she was drunk. And it is implied in many ways. None of them knew. None of them knew that that was what was going to happen. And none of them wanted that to happen to her, the three friends. Meaning Anya, Julia, and Eleanor. That was never the thought. But they all left her at a party. Two of the people, meaning Julia and Eleanor, thought that she had gone home. Anya lied because she had found out that she was liking the guy that she was dating. This is all like drama when you're in your 20s. And obviously this is 25 years later, and they felt guilty and they felt horrible about it. But come to find out, none of this has anything to do with that. It has to do with a bad business deal from years prior that all of the women were involved in. It was Anya's company. Julia was the one that investigated the claim, and Eleanor had used the PR firm at some point in time as well. That's it. That's what this is about. And I'm like, so you kill somebody for this? Like, okay, your reputation got tarnished, but you did what you were accused of. I would understand this more if you weren't. And we find out that Alistair is this big bad. He's the guy, and he's changed his name, and he's changed how he looks, and he's done all of this for some corporate hoo-ha. And him being like angry that like his life has fallen apart for something that he genuinely did. It wasn't even like, hey, no, this was all fake, I never did this. You killed a woman and then tried to kill another woman. And I have a question. They keep saying like they drugged this guy, Alistair, ended up trying to kill Julia eventually and drugged her drink. And was like, when they find you, they're going to think you just killed yourself and you... And I'm like, would they not test the wine? Wouldn't it be weird that this woman who had all these claims and went to the police several times about somebody breaking into her house suddenly died? Don't you think they would investigate that? Like, he's not very bright at all. The fact that they didn't investigate the Anya situation is like questionable, but this is taking place in a different country. I am in America. This is in Dublin. I don't know the laws in Dublin. I know that I am Irish and I love the Irish people and we like our cocktails. I know that, but what does that mean? That this wouldn't have been investigated because she drank a bottle of wine? Like, it's fucking weird. I don't get it. The writing is fine. The twists are not. We find out also that the girl that Isla bullied or whatever, like, she was never in a psychiatric unit. She never got hurt. The mother and her were in on it, like, laughing. So I'm like, oh, great. So bullying is just like genetic, apparently. The mother is a bully too and a horrible person and was like, I made them leave the country, ha ha. And I'm like, what am I reading? Where's the horror? Where's the thriller? Where's the mystery? Where's the well-written book that I had for so much of it? We do love Eleanor, okay? She is a loyal bitch. She is a good friend. She came in clutch at the end, like with a poker, and kicked Alistair's ass. We do love a good friend. And I like her arc too, of like, she was younger and maybe she felt guilty about leaving Donna and she was never going to leave her friend again and be there for her. I like the friendship. The friendship I thought was redeemable and like a good quality of this book. I like the other characters, like Drew. I ended up liking Alistair and being like, oh my God, they're working as a team to try to like figure out what happened. What this was ended up being like boring, and I was like, oh, really? This is what I wasted my day with? I mean, granted, I did other things all day. Like I said, today has been one of those crazy mom days, so I didn't read like sitting down for hours and hours and hours. It was on and off, and it's way later in the day from when I updated before. And when I first started reading it, it was like insanely early in the morning, because my mornings start really early here. But what did I read? Literally, I didn't like it. I didn't. There are redeeming qualities to it. The writing was good. The characters were interesting. The twists, there were some that I didn't see coming. But there was no logic. The logic wasn't good. I wasn't scared. The big bad is this guy who wears tweed. Like, I wasn't scared by him at all. And I kept thinking to myself, maybe everybody should just stop drinking so much fucking wine and everybody would be alive, because the only reason he killed these women is they were incapacitated. It wasn't him. I thought this was going to be like in the attic, scary, big tall guy with a knife. Like, it wasn't like that at all. It was very like, and also we have more creepy factors, because this guy goes into her son's room every night and just breathes by him. And you want me to think this isn't some weird, like, other shit as well? Like, why? I was excited for this book. I did like most of it, and then we just went off the fucking rails. We hit page 200, and I was like, where are we going? And no, I still had another 150 pages left of just being like filler or what. The fact that this is all about a business deal situation was like, that's what this is? Really? I was excited about, like, oh, maybe it was connected to Donna's death, and that's why. And every clue that they had, they found out they were completely wrong on every clue. On every clue that made them think that. I get the guilty conscience idea of, like, they were jumping to these hoops because they felt bad about what had happened all those years prior to a friend, so they just saw signs where they weren't. I can see that. No. And the Gabe thing was ridiculous. Like, he had, apparently we find out the poor man was drugged. And I'm like, and it's all, Julia is an annoying character. She doesn't believe anything. She doesn't believe her daughter. She doesn't believe that her ex-husband, who seems like a very nice guy, was drugged. She doesn't believe that he was assaulted. And I'm just like, also, They have been divorced for 9 years, and I get that as well, but we don't even know why they got divorced exactly. Like, they seem to get along so well, to the point that at the end of the book I thought they were actually going to get back together. I kid you not, because he's like hysterical, like, I love you and I don't want to lose you. And I'm like, I do like the very last page of like it's kind of in the book's version of an epilogue, like letting everybody know what's happened. But I'm not interested. Alistair was not like anything big, bad, scary. He had a couple of fucking cameras that honestly people were stupid and never investigated. If I had smoke alarms that just were never going off, also maybe it's the New Yorker in me that I trust nothing and no one, okay? But when I move into a house, I would be checking cameras. I would be looking at everything. I go to a hotel and I got one of those scanning things because I trust nothing. So the idea that I just got a brand new house and moved country, I would be looking at everything and being so suspicious. And these people are just like, oh, somebody's filming me. I'm not going to try to figure out where the camera could be, or maybe there could be a camera in my house. That would have been the first thing I thought of. And I would have been camped out in that attic. Okay, I would have been camped there with a cigarette in the back, just like, let somebody come in here. Because if my son keeps telling me somebody's in his room, I'm going to believe my kid. No matter what. Maybe it's because I've seen a lot of horror films in my life, and it's easy for me to be like, well, believe. Just believe. Me and my husband say that all the time whenever we watch anything or we read anything, and it's like, nobody believed that this was going to happen. Like, they told you this was going on in your house. Believe. Why not? There are crazier things in the world, let me tell you, and more coincidences. And this book was just poor. Like, I wasn't scared. I wasn't thrilled. Finding out who did it was, like, confusing. Finding out the why, I feel like I wasted my time reading the book because that was not even an inkling of anything. It was talked about so sporadic and so small, and it had happened years ago. Like, it was a breadcrumb that was so tiny that I was like, what? I actually had to go back and remember this frigger guy's name, because Alistair's not his real name. His real name is Clive, and he's, like, pretending identities, and I'm like, and man, mind you, that was another thing too. His name got cleared, and he got a huge settlement. Why? Like, get over it. I wouldn't kill people for this. Like, that wasn't in his track record. He was a businessman, and now all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna murder people in attics. We're leaping. We're leaping. We're jumping. We're flying. This is a review, isn't it? The last 2 books, like, we had what did we have? Like, a 5? I think it was a 5. And then we had Near the Bone was a 3. We're just going down, baby. This is a 2-star read. That is my review. This is 2 stars. I'm not going to give it a 1 because I didn't think the writing was bad. I liked the characters. I thought there was some development, but I'm annoyed where the story went. I don't think it made sense for what was being set up. I thought Julia was an annoying friggin' character who didn't believe anything in anyone. That got a little annoying after a while. I also thought Alistair was not written as a very good big bad no matter what. I'm sorry, I'm not going to be afraid of somebody wearing chinos. I'm just not. Like, that's not fearful to me. A guy in his late 50s that's not scary. Who works in IT. Like, I'm not nervous about somebody like that. I'm just like, oh, we could be friends. Like, nothing about that is intimidating to me. That's my dog barking. So somebody must be home. I'm going to guess my husband. That's my assumption because it's later in the day. I'm giving it 2 stars. I didn't enjoy it. There was good enough writing, and the characters were not abysmal, and I liked Eleanor. I thought Eleanor's arc was good, and I liked the flashbacks, but now I'm pissed about the flashbacks involving Donna because they never mattered. None of anything with Donna ever mattered, and yet we read so many chunks of the book about Donna or flashbacks involving Donna. This is making me want to call my Aunt Donna and say hi. That's about all it's making me want to do. I'm giving this a 2 star. I did not like it. I did not enjoy it. And the big bad was sad. Like, not scary at all. that is my review. When I come back, I'm going to be talking about a whole other book. I'm actually probably going to do like the intro while I'm sitting here, because as a mom, it's hard to get these things, you know, out. So we're just going to do the intro of the next book probably in the next couple of minutes. But I am giving this a 2-star. I don't recommend it. I thought it was a waste of time. There are so many better fucking books. I'm mad. This was a book of the month book. I was so excited to get this book. I paid for this book. Okay, like, granted, I did not pay no $29.99 that I would have paid in a bookstore, but it was an add-on. I paid $11.99. Don't read it. It was not good. There are so many better thrillers that are promising the same thing that I've read that I can recommend to you. So no. And actually I'm sad because this is also a pick for one of like my book clubs that I like, Gabby reads on BookTube, and she's gonna read this book, and now I gotta change my vote and be like, well, don't read this book, it was really bad. Oh, maybe it didn't win the poll, but I'm pretty sure it did because it was like 50%. So oh no, that's sad too. It's getting worse. I will see you guys about the next book. My personal opinion. This is all my personal opinion. If you loved this book, great. That's the thing. This is what I'm thinking. If somebody came to me and said, I gave this a 4, but I appreciate what your opinion was, I'm like, I'm so happy you loved the book. I would never want somebody to hate a book unless the book was racist or talking about hurting kids or like something in that vein. I'm never going to get annoyed that somebody liked the book. Like, there are things that I get people love about it. That's fine. I would respect your opinion, and I hope that you can respect my opinion that this is my image. I'm just, no. Ugh. I will see you guys next time talking about a book that I've heard amazing things about, and I'm just hoping is better, because we're going down this scale of down. So I'm hoping we're about to go back up. I will see you guys soon. Bye. Hi guys, I am back to talk about the next book that I'm going to be reading. You just saw me in the last clip talking about Someone in the Attic and how much I didn't like it. So I just thought, while I'm sitting here already doing this, I might as well talk about the book that I'm going to be reading next, which I have heard is friggin' amazing. So I'm hoping it's great. And that is Chain Gang All Stars. I have heard wonderful things about this book. It has actually gotten the New York Times Book Review Award for 2003. It was a National Book Award finalist. The author, if I say this name wrong, I apologize profusely. I'm really bad at saying names occasionally, and if that is happening, I apologize. The name of this author is Kwame Adjei Brenyah. I'm hoping I am saying that right. There is the author right there in the picture. I have heard wonderful, wonderful things about this book, that it's a polarizing read, that it's going to make you have a lot of conversations. I want a book like this right now, because after what I just had, I need a good book. Come on. I have good feeling though, because I have heard wonderful things. Actually, I don't think I've heard a bad review. Oh, please don't let me be the only one. I hope to God that I reviewed this just as well as everybody else has. Oh, the New York Times Book Review. Not that that does anything for me, to be quite honest, because if I hear like so many people are giving something a good review, then of course I'm obviously excited, but I'm never gonna, conform to what other people say if I don't agree. But it has great reviews. I've heard wonderful things about the author, and I love a book that makes me think, that makes me question. And this book is supposed to do that. So let's get into what it's about. And obviously, it is a beautiful cover as well. My God, that is gorgeous. And I have the physical copy of this book, so I'm just going to read you the synopsis of it. Loretta, oh, I hope I'm saying the names right. I know I can say Loretta. Loretta Thurwar and Hamara Hurricane Stacker are the stars of Chain Gang All-Stars, the cornerstone of CAPE, or Criminal Action Penal Entertainment, a highly popular, highly controversial profit-raising program in America's increasingly dominant private prison industry. It's the return of the gladiators, and prisoners are competing for the ultimate prize, their freedom. In Cape, prisoners travel as links in chain gangs, competing in death matches for packed arenas with righteous protesters at the gates. Thurwar and Stax, both teammates and lovers, are the fan favorites, and if all goes well, Thurwar will be free in just a few weeks, a fact she carries as heavily as her lethal hammer. Ooh, this sounds really good. As she prepares for her final match, she makes the ultimate act of defiance against these so-called games, a protest with devastating consequences that land like a lightning bolt of truth and offer a clear-eyed reckoning with what freedom in this country really means. Oh, this is going to be very hard-hitting, isn't it? It's going to talk about prison. It's going to talk about prison reform. It's going to talk about reality TV. It's going to talk about how we, as a society, view the prison system. I think our prison system is fucking shit. I have for a very long time, and I just continue to think it's shit. And the fact that people are incarcerated for life for crimes when they were way younger, crimes that I truly feel with therapy and with a different outlook and help can be changed. And people, I do believe in prison reform to an extent. I do believe that there are some people in this world that should never be freed when they are incarcerated, and that is people that do the big R word, personal opinion, of course, and people that hurt kids. People like that never get a second chance. That is my opinion. But many people I feel that are in jail should not be, and should not be for the length of time that they're in for their crimes. Personal opinion, yet again. So I feel I'm going to have a lot of conversations this book is going to do about prison, about reform, about and there's also like lesbians. I love it. That is what I'm getting. Yep, lesbians. Love it. Love some queer reading as well. Oh yeah, this is exciting. I'm also getting about the reality TV vibe situation, and like you have to work to get out and only one person can, is what I'm getting. It's making me think a little The Stand, Stephen King, and it's also making me think Hunger Games a little bit. I am excited to see this though, to see this. Like it's a friggin' movie. It sounds like it would make a damn good movie, actually. I am really excited to read this. Look at this cover. It's so beautiful. Oh my God. Well, the next time I check in about this book, we will be at the 10% mark. I have good hopes. I've heard wonderful things. And after the book I just read, I need wonderful things. But I will be talking to you tomorrow because I'm not reading anymore today. I'm too tired, too hot, and I need to go be with my family. So I will see you guys way later to talk about what I think of this book so far. Bye. Hi guys, I'm back, and I'm back to talk about this book right here, Chain Gang All-Stars. This is really good. I am 10% into the book right now, and it is great. I am so far loving the characters. I'm loving and also hating the messages that are being talked about, because it's that kind of book for sure. We have a couple of main characters so far. We have Loretta, Thurwar, Hamara, Stax. Those are the two main characters, but they go by their last names more than they go by their first, which is also something that does happen with security and with guards as well. My husband is in that field, and they always go by the last names far more than the first. So that part is 100% realistic already with prisoners and reform. So that part is factual. I can tell you that. The writing is amazing, and I'm also just really emotional about it already. Only 10% in, which means I am at page 53. And only in 53 pages, I feel like quite a lot has already happened. We've been introduced to our main characters, which is Loretta and Stax. I'm just going to call her Stax because that's what everybody calls her. And I feel like if I say Stax, I can say that name without getting it like messed up. And if I say the name Loretta, I won't mess it up. But in the book, Loretta is also known as by her last name, which is Thurwar. I'm going to mess that up 100 times if I do it that way. So I'm just going to say Loretta because it's just easier for me. But Loretta is a badass, man. She's about to get out. We're hoping that she gets out. And she does. She gets to her freedom, which is the whole point of this. These women, these people, actually, they're not just women. There are men that they're going up against as well. They're basically in like a gladiator style fight to the death. And whoever wins kind of gets points And the points that they get, they go up the link in the chain. And eventually what you want is to be able to earn your freedom and to get out. That is what the goal is. Now, I don't know as of now if anyone has gotten out or how long this prison system has been in effect. It is a dystopian future. One thing that is amazingly insane is it is also like a reality show. It has that Hunger Games vibes for sure. And what's sad is I can see this fucking happening in reality of our prison system being filmed. And there's a lot of conversation on, is this right? Like, yes, these people did horrific crimes. Yes, they were accused of, I'm just gonna say murder, because murder is what I'm thinking of off the bat, but we do know somebody in here, it's talked about, we don't know the person's name, was in here for the R word and was killed. So these are violent crimes. 100% true, these are violent crimes. And can you be rehabilitated? Is it fair that we are taking these people that have done these horrible crimes and now we are having them kill each other and we're watching? Are we participating in the narrative that this is okay? Which is also a conversation, because there's a whole conversation on, for instance, the death penalty. Is that right? Is that wrong? This is like their version of that, in my opinion, like what they're saying. And there's one character in here called Niall, and Niall is an activist. He is against this whole thing. Him and a woman named Mari, they don't want this to happen. They think that this is a horrible situation that's going on with the prison, and they feel like there should be a different reform, maybe like they do a couple of years, then they can be rehabilitated into society or go to like a different prison situation, is my assumption. Loretta is the top link in the chain. She has been there for years. We're assuming years. She has killed 38 people that we know of, and every time somebody is killed, they get a tattoo. Like an X, more or less, that like, so they're branded outwardly as well, which begs the question, when you get out into society, how can you live in society if you are branded that way? Number one. And number two, what kind of life is that? You know, you went in here because you killed one person, maybe two, I don't know, maybe even more, who knows, and now you've killed 38 to get free. It doesn't seem to make much sense, in my opinion. I don't like it. She has a hammer and she wields that shit like Thor. Okay, she goes for people. She's a badass woman, and I do like that. I like that she's a woman of few words. We also don't know what she's in here for. We have no idea. When we're introduced to her, being new and going up against the biggest, the baddest. The person that she ends up being is the queen, more or less. And that person was just about to get out and helped her. Told her, like, look, this is what you need to do. When you need to cut your hair, you need to do this, you need to be strong, you need to not say many things, you need to do all this stuff, which makes me feel like the woman that was going to be let out, she felt like, what is freedom? What does it matter? And I feel like there's a conversation that needs to be had about institutionalization, and when you've been in so long, you don't know how to be out. And also the feeling of, what was it all for? Like, I've done all this to get to what, and now I don't even know what's going to happen to me. There's a conversation of that as well. And now she is the next link. She's going to get out, or she's supposed to get out. There's also Stax. Stax is her friend and lover, and she is in there. They're in the same chain group, which means that they will never go against each other, which I was happy to hear about that, because I was like, don't tell me they're going to put these women against each other. Although they're both highly loved in this competitive world, so I can see that kind of happening or trying to happen. This book also has, it's about entertainment. It is literally like WWE and boxing, that kind of level of, you need to put on a performance, which is what these women do. Loretta comes from the school of, I'm going to be quiet, do what the fuck I got to do and get out of here, where Stax is the showrunner. You know, she makes the jokes. She has a gimmick of like talking about love and how love will save us all and all this stuff. Is that true? I don't think she truly believes in it. I don't think she believes in the hype that she's putting, but she's putting it past so she can get sponsors. Because in this world, you get sponsors? That's some Hunger Games shit right there. But I can see that happening. Couldn't you? Couldn't you see like BMW sponsoring you? I mean, if this is as big as an event as it is portrayed as, I can totally see that happening. The conversation that's happening on prison reform, the conversation that's happening on crimes and being accused of something, and the public eating it up, watching it like it's reality television, as if these people aren't real fucking people, is disgusting. And yet I I see it. I can see how relevant that conversation is with today. And there's so many people in the world at large, take reality TV out of it, that there are some horrible things going on in the world right now. And I feel like a lot of us are just watching and doing and saying nothing. And when we do and say nothing, we become the problem, not the solution. And that makes me a little teary-eyed, because I don't like the idea of being the problem. I think we should all be helping each other. That's what we should be doing as a society, not hurting each other. I think we've done that fucking enough in the last years and years and years, let me tell you. But I'm gonna cry. No, I'm gonna do it. I'm only 50 pages in and I'm already getting emotional about the content of this book, and I know it's just gonna get way more. There's also an announcer guy in this whose name is Mickey, and I love him and hate him in equal measure. He like rallies the crowd. He makes a spectacle. He's wearing a suit. He's like that guy. I kind of hate him. Like, I can't stand him, but I understand everybody has a part to play in this, including him, including the police. The police who take these women, I'm going to say women just because it's been predominantly female so far, back to their area. Like, some of them are mean and call them like, oh, you know, you're a convict, and others have a begrudging respect for them because of what they have done. Like, Loretta gets a lot of respect from the police, and because she's been there so long and done what she has the most quote unquote freedom of anyone in there, which is not a lot of freedom, granted, but it's still some freedom. She is hoping to get out within the next couple of weeks. So I feel like we're getting a lot of different perspectives. We're getting Loretta, we're getting Stax. We have not got Mickey himself, the announcer, but we hear from him from Stax's perspective, from Loretta's perspective. So he's there, and we've had one or two chapters from Niall already. And he's an interesting character because even as a kid, like when everybody was loving this shit, he was hating it and saying there was something wrong with it. He also made a comment that he had noticed that when it came to the prison reform, when it came to these games, there was a majority of them that were African American, and that was something that bothered him greatly. And he was told at one point, like, oh, come on, it's not a big deal, you know, everybody's involved in this. It's not about race, it's not about color, it's not about this. But at the same time, if the majority is one race, I feel like that should be a question mark of why is that? And he's asking the question, and I feel like everybody else is doing this and doesn't want to even ask or see with some of these problems. And that's frustrating, and I hate it. But so far, that's my bell, so I'm going to have to go. But I will check in the next time at the 50% mark. I'm really loving it, and I can't wait to see what's next. Hey guys, it's me, and I'm here to update the 50% mark of this book that I am reading, Chain Gang All-Stars. It's so good. I love the writing. I think the writing is so beautiful. Oh, honestly, almost poetic at moments. It's amazing. I literally did not want to put the book down at all today. I unfortunately had to put it down a hell of a lot today because life gets a little bit busy around here, so that had to happen. But I'm really enjoying the story so far. I'm enjoying seeing the prison reform itself. I'm enjoying seeing all of these characters. There are so many freaking characters. I had to write down some of these names because I'm like, I'm never going to remember some of these names, because except for Loretta, like I said, I'm just going to say Loretta, except for Loretta, who goes by her last name, most people have like nicknames that were given to them, usually by the announcer Mickey that I had mentioned, because it's very performative. So it's like WWE almost, like they all have stage names. It makes you relate with them even more. It makes you like their stories even more. I will say though, now that I know more about the backstory on these people that are in jail, I do believe they should be in jail. Do I believe they should be doing a death match? It's a little tricky for me because some of them are the big R words, and I don't like people that are the R words or her kids. And we definitely have some R words in here, so I don't like them. We did also find out like what Loretta had done. Loretta killed her girlfriend, and she was jealous and killed her. So we do know that she murdered somebody. She has felt guilty for a very long time. She actually believes she should die. She never believes that she should get out. Every time she wins a fight, she's kind of upset that she's won because she feels she genuinely should be there. Another person who genuinely feels that they should be there is a guy on the Chain team with her named Puddles. We don't like him. because he is an R word, big R word, and then he would, you know, murder them after. So that's why he's there. Although I will say he's a refreshing character in some ways, because he's very honest about, like, I'm a horrible person. I know I'm a horrible person. I deserve everything. I know I'm never getting out of here. I'm never going to win. I'm never going to get to that level. This is my life, and I deserve it. I deserve the torture. I deserve to not have a lot of food. I deserve, you know, to be incarcerated. Somebody like me, I don't think should be out in the world with other people. And also, now that we've been here so long and we've lived this kind of way, I don't believe we could live outside of society. How could we? And I'm like, that's true. Also, it's allowed for them to kill people in their gangs. Like, that's totally allowed. They actually get something called blood points that goes towards, like, kind of commissary. I was going to say commissary. That's not it. Commissary. Like, they get to have extra things. But somebody like Loretta, she's the top. So she gets the best of the best of the best of everything. We also found out some stuff about Stax. I like her. I like her as a character. Also, she is bisexual. Love bisexual representation. Genuinely do. I like it. Loretta and her have a relationship, but it is an open relationship. They're together and they genuinely are in love with each other, but she also likes the company of a man, which is one of the guys on their chain team named, I almost said the wrong name. What is his name? Randy. Thank you, God. I was thinking Scream, and I'm like, Randy. There we go. There's so many people named Randy. Randy Mack. I like him. I like him as a character. I know that they've all done crimes. I believe, I hope I'm right, that the guy named Puddles, that's his nickname, he's the only one on that chain team that was the R word. Except for someone who recently died, who was like the leader of them all. He was very much about, like, I messed up. I did this horrible thing. I believe in peace. I believe in love. I believe in all this stuff. And he got 86'd by Stax. And come to find, we're finding out a lot of information. First of all, I think something is happening. Loretta knows that she's getting out. She knows that she's getting out soon. Within a couple of weeks, she'll be out of there, hopefully, if it all works out well, because I feel like they're going to have some kind of twist where, like, you have to kill yourself. So like, there's going to be something, because they don't really want winners in this. They make a lot of money by keeping people in, especially somebody like her who is so high profile and having all these sponsorships and having all this attention. I just genuinely am worried too that she's going to have to go against Stax. Like, even though that's not the rules in the game, they're constantly changing the rules. That's another thing that I love, is we're getting perspectives from the people in charge. We're getting perspectives in other prisons. Apparently, this group, what they're doing, you sign up for this, more or less, at the chance to get freedom. There are all different other types of prisons, including one prison where you literally are silenced and you cannot speak for 25 years till you get out or are paroled. And I'm like, that's horrible. There's one guy in it named Hendrix Young that is what he did for years and years and years, and finally just couldn't take the silence anymore, couldn't take living that way and never hearing his own voice and what that does mentally to you, that he signed up to join this program. Because he was like, I'd rather this. And then there's another guy. What's his name? Is John. I'm messing up his name. There's a lot of characters, so it's getting, I get a little thrown by the names, who is a convicted R word. And he is in a different prison, and they're using something called influencer on him, which is something that makes you, like, it like does horrible things to your body. It makes it feels like it is being ripped apart. It is the most agonizing pain that ever can be felt. And him going through it over and over and over again and surviving, like, the pain, like, you're actually supposed to not even remember your own name. That's how much it's supposed to affect you. He gets told by one of the guards, like, dude, like, they're gonna keep fucking with you here. Like, the one guard feels bad for him just because it's horrible to watch somebody go through so much pain like that constantly. And they did it to him like 6 or 7 times. And they said to him, try to ask for a transfer to go to this program. Like, yes, you will die, but at least you'll live like a man before you die. Which I gotta say, like, as far as a humane situation, I don't like this at all. Like, the fact that they're having, like, they're fighting and they're doing all this, I think it's a little crazy. But it's horrible, because as I'm, obviously reading it, I love reality TV. I do. I enjoy reality TV. One of my favorite TV shows ever is called The Challenge. I'm sure some of you know what it is. It's been on literally 40 seasons. The new season is out right now. And I love watching them fight, watching them battle, getting into like their history and who they are and learning everything about them. So if I objectively look at this as a reality TV show, which we're seeing the perspective of somebody named Will, somebody and his wife Emily, and they're just into like the stats and everything about it and getting so invested in these people, like, and kind of at the same time humanizing them in a weird way of forgetting their crimes and just knowing them for who you see here, which is very much that situation with celebrities when you don't really know them, but a parasocial relationship, I think that's what it's called, when you feel like you know them through the screen but you've never actually met them at all. I think we're all guilty of feeling that way with a celebrity or an Instagrammer or a booktuber or anybody that we watch on a daily basis, and we're like, oh, you're my friend in my head, that kind of situation, which is happening during the show as well. There is a whole group trying to take them down, and I think there's going to be an uprising because there's some stuff happening behind the scenes. Stax is saying stuff, doing stuff that Loretta's like, what's going on here? Like I just said the other day, let's not fight anymore as a team. Now there's infighting. The cameras are zoomed in on them and other things are going on over here. We come to find out that the guy that got killed, she did it, but she hasn't told anybody why. She just says, I had to do it. It's just something I had to do. Come to find out he asked her to do it. Why would he ask her to do that when he was going to be the next one to maybe be released? Unless he thought that he didn't deserve to be released, but he's been there for years. Come to find out, we also found out Loretta has now officially been there 3 years. It is getting weirdly, light is going to shine across my face in a second because the sun is about to set soon. So I have to do this as fast as humanly possible. But I'm loving it so far. There's a lot of characters. We have Hendrix Young, Randy Max, we have Tracy, who is a journalist who was working for the other guys and now has decided to work with the good guys and try to get like the word out there, like people should be helping and stopping this problem. There's Puddles, there's Rico, there's Ice Ice Elephant. What a name! Like Ice Ice Baby, but Ice Ice Elephant? I'm not judging. We know about Mickey already, Niall, Mari. There's like 5 or 6 or 8 other people that I just haven't written down yet because I don't know, honestly, if we're just looking at little segments here and there and they're not like big to the plot. I'm getting Hunger Games vibes. So extreme. And also seeing the prison system is just fucking sad. One thing that I had forgotten to mention when I did my first update, because my dog was barking and things got crazy and I had to go, is they had one of the contestants in it was a 13, trying to think what the age was, 16, I almost said 13, 16-year-old boy that got killed. And he did do a horrible crime. All these people did legit horrible crimes except for one. And it hit me hard and I didn't like it at all. We find out what Stack's crime was. Is she did murder a man. She murdered the man that raped her. Sorry, I should have said R word. I usually do and don't say the word. I'm so sorry if I just triggered anybody by that word. I apologize. It triggers me sometimes, so I get it and I apologize. Things like that make me so angry that there are women in this world that go to jail for defending themselves. And actually, one thing that is amazing about this book actually is it has like statistics. It has these little notes at the bottom of a page explaining who a character is, or a back study, or like information on the criminal system. And there's one part in here, I'd have to look back and I probably will never find what I'm looking for. Oh my god, can I find it? I'm looking really quick, but I don't think I'll be able to find it. Oh, I don't think I'm going to find out, I'll be honest with you. But it's a whole statistic about how many women are actually in the prison system that killed their R words. And the fact that there's even fucking one is insane to me. That makes me beyond angry. Beyond angry. And I feel for her. I feel for her as a character. I feel for her because she does kind of also, she has now killed lots of people where she is, but that was what started it. And her family disowned her. So many people just turned their backs on her. And she's actually someone that after a fight, like she tries to be like the funny one, the jokester, but she goes and she cries horribly. Like she hates what she's doing. She just knows she has to do it. And she also knows that Loretta is going to be leaving soon. And she feels in some ways, even though she has Randy, she's going to be alone in this world. And there's this underlining tension and fear and just unease wherever all these characters go, because they're constantly going into battles, and it's constant like, okay, this character that I'm connecting with, good, bad, or indifferent, am I just about to watch them die? Am I just gonna see something horrible happen to these characters that I've learned to care for, or at least not care for, gotten comfortable knowing, and they're just snuffed out? I'm loving it so far. The writing is phenomenal. I have absolutely no idea if this author has written other things, but I am most definitely going to be checking it out, because this is a hard book to talk about because it is fantastic. I just don't know if I have the right words to describe exactly how and why it is. Well, I'm going to hope to find the words by the end of this book, which is the next time I'm updating. And the sun is going down. Like, I am getting woohoo everywhere. This craziness. And I don't edit anything out of my videos, so you're just going to see all of this because Mama ain't got no time to edit. It doesn't exist. Filming barely does sometimes. But I'm loving the characters. I'm really loving Loretta. I'm really loving Stax. I'm really loving Randy. And I just feel we're going to have a scream moment because Randy's don't seem to make it. And I feel like he's going to go. There's a guy named Rico who I like quite a bit too. He's like the new kid on the block kind of situation. And he's just, you know, everybody looks at Loretta like she's Queen Bee, which she fucking is, rightfully so. I just think there's going to be an uprising. Something is telling me, I'm trying to like not have this. Something is telling me uprising for sure. That's my prediction, that there's going to be an uprising, and I feel like at least 2 more people in the chain are going to die. I'm going to guess Randy, even though I don't want it to, because it would emotionally impact, I feel like, the most, because people like Randy. He seems like a pretty all-around good guy for the most part. Don't exactly know why he's in there. I think there was arson and murder involved, but no R word, I don't believe, so we like him as of now. I feel like Loretta or Stax are going to go. They're going to die. They're going to be pushed against each other. There's going to be some fight. Something bad is going to happen. And I have a lot of pages left. I'm halfway and I still have another like 170 pages. It's crazy town over here. But I really love it. And the next time I check in, I will be done with the book. Right now though, lighting is looking good. Don't get too excited. It's about to go here in 5 seconds. Megan, stop it. Okay, I will see you. I will see you guys when it's all over and talk all about it. Bye. Hey guys, it's me to talk about the ending of Chain Gang All Stars. It is the next day, and it is way later in the next day. It took me a while to read the last 170 pages. Because I didn't really want it to end, to be honest with you. I had a problem picking it back up, not because it was a bad book by any means. It was actually a very good book. I really enjoyed it. But it was a hard read. And knowing that you're going to be picking up something that is going to be a difficult read, sometimes you don't want to pick it up as much. Which I did find myself that happening today when I was trying to read it. Still, I loved the characters. I really did. I thought that the writing was amazing. It was great writing. It was phenomenal. I liked the story. I liked where it was going. I was kind of right to an extent. I thought there was going to be an uprising. There wasn't, which was kind of a letdown, actually. I thought that's what we were kind of maybe going for, that there was going to be like the group working together with them to get them out. But at the same time, I felt conflicted even about thinking that I kind of maybe wanted that, because except for a very slim few, most of these people did horrific things and like they are convicted and they did do it. Some did not. Some just signed on the dotted line because they had nothing else, because they were protecting somebody else, or like in Stack's case, you know, she was assaulted and somehow killing the person that did that to her means that she should go to jail. That, please, I could have a whole story about how that is so that I can't even take it. I really can't. She was a character that I loved. I loved Stax. I like Loretta. I liked her as a character. I thought she was enjoyable, but honestly, She was a hard person to read from because it really felt like she didn't really want to leave. She didn't want to get out. It wasn't something that she wanted for herself, because she still very much blamed herself for what had happened with her ex-girlfriend, who she murdered. So there was that. As far as any predictions, like I said, I thought that there was going to be like an upheaval, or like they were going to get out, and I felt conflicted about that, even though that's what I kind of thought I might have wanted. Was right though. Was right that Stax and her would go up against each other, and they would want that for the views. Come on, wouldn't that make sense? Two powerhouses going together, two women going together, two lovers going together. Like, I mean, the views, the money alone. Come on. I knew that was going to be a thing. I hate that that was a thing, but I knew it was going to be. But it didn't. The ending, I actually had to read the ending twice, because I genuinely was like, I think I missed something, because it wasn't said like explicitly. So I was like, what happened? What exactly happened? And I felt like a dope-a-doo, okay? Because I had to read it twice, and then I had to look it up and be like, did I miss something? And I'm just not fully getting it. So the people that died, Hendrix died. Not a big swoosh whoosh, didn't really care. I was not super invested in him as a character and or a person. Randy died. Knew that was going to happen, because all Randy seemed to go. Okay, I saw that coming a mile away. And when they started talking about it, I was like, oh man, he's going to die. And then literally, it's like, I think he's going to die. I think he's going to die. Oh, he's dead. It was so quick that I was like, it's all on the same page. Oh, poor Randy. There we go. So he died. John died, who was the guy that was at the other facility and being influenced over and over and over again. So he was more or less like a killing machine. He didn't have anything in him. So he died. I kind of felt a little sad from his death, because when Hendrix died, it's like he lost anything that was keeping him sane and together. And he didn't care at the end when he was gone. And if I am reading this right, and I must be, I have to be for it to make sense, Stax died. Which, I'm upset by that. I do understand that they had a conversation of, look, this is who we are. We know, we're badasses. We're going to go at it. We love each other. We're in love with each other, but one of us can get out. You could get out. And if you get out, you can work with the resistance, and having your face, your name, who you are, it'll work. So let's agree that we're not going to be weak people, and we're going to fight. And if we're going to put on a show, let's put on a show. And I did understand that, and I did like that. And at one point, we thought Stax was going to get it. And I understand why Stax couldn't win, because she would have stayed there. It wasn't a situation where if she had won that fight, she would have gotten out. Loretta was the only one that had the option to leave due to how many fights and the fact that she was already a colossal, which is like the highest that you can go already. And this was like her winning fight. So I understand why it had to be the way it did, but I just wanted her to get out, Stax, so bad, because I genuinely felt bad for her, because even the reason she's there, it just feels wrong. So many people that are there, I'm like, I get it. Of course you're there, like, you did horrible things. Even Loretta, I like her as a character, but she deserves to be where she is. She did murder somebody. She genuinely did that. Where somebody else defended themselves, and self-defense can be considered murder, which is just... My hair is like crazy right now, sorry. I'm like making it bigger. Insane to me, absolutely insane. The book made me sad too. I was like, that was the overall vibe for me, was just sadness and depression. I kept thinking, like, there were moments obviously of lightheartedness, as much as a book like this could be lighthearted. It's not written that way whatsoever. It is a hard-hitting book. It talks about very hard-hitting topics. It's a dystopian future of what could happen. And what's so fucking sad is the entire time I read it, I was like, I can see this happening. If a certain person who has orange hair and has an orange face wins, another thing, I could definitely see this happening. Think guys, because I'm not going to say it, because there's somebody that's going to say something stupid. But if that happens, I could very well see this happening, considering the last time that orange person won, hell broke loose. So I could see this in our future, which is sad and upsetting and makes me angry, and also is extremely realistic. This author is very, very good at what he does. Very, very talented author, I must say. I enjoyed the writing. The writing alone just kept me, when I did pick it back up, it's like I said, it took a little bit to want to pick it back up because it was such heavy subject matter to get into, obviously. But it was great. It was a great read. It was a fast read. It actually was very fast considering this book is over 400 pages. It didn't read like that though. It read fast paced. The action scenes were great. The battle scenes were epic, man. Man, I would love to see it in a film. I just kept thinking Hunger Games because that's like the reference with everybody fighting at each other in like a gladiator style. That and thinking of Gladiator. Honestly, that was the other one that I kept envisioning the entire time. Love that movie too. If you've never seen Gladiator, check that out as well. Very good. Russell Crowe. Whew. So yummy in that movie, as well as a very good actor. I'm talking about all different topics now. Sorry, guys. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. I am going to say what I'm rating it because I don't have much to say. Not because there's not a lot to say. It's just, this is a hard one to talk about. It's just a hard book. But I will say I enjoyed it. I'll say I liked the characters. I'll say I was sad. I liked the ending mostly. The ending was a little ambiguous at the end, and I felt like we could have had a stronger ending, maybe. But rating, I am giving Chain Gang All Stars a 4-star, which I think is really good. 4-star is great. I can't give it a 5 because there are certain moments that for me just personally didn't work. I also thought we had way too many characters. If we had pushed it down a little bit more, I think it would have been better. Honestly, I don't think we needed Hendrix as a character. I'm just being honest. I don't even think we needed John as a character, honestly, or Mickey. For as much as he was talked on and off in other people's areas, I was very interested with the main characters and interested in like the government aspect and interested in like the officials of the games talking about like, this is what we're going to do this season or that season. That was done really well. I understood that. I also liked Mari and Niall's perspective. That was good. It needed to be there for sure. Even Will and his girlfriend, their perspective needed to be there because we needed to see the viewers. But some of it, like Hendrix, it made it longer for no purpose. And honestly, I just didn't think that it needed to be done. But it was good. It was a good book. It was, my dog is barking so loud in the background and I don't do cuts, so you're just going to hear all of that. Sorry, guys. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. I would recommend it. I would definitely recommend it. There is not one person that I wouldn't recommend this book to. I would obviously tell them like there are some trigger warnings for the R word and other things. It's intense. It is an intense read, but it's really good. It's good. And seeing these two women who genuinely love and care about each other, but also understand where they are and the things that they have done and dealing with those kinds of conversations, I thought was done very well as well. And I can see this happening, which makes this also a horror book at the same time. But 4 stars. Fantastic. I'm definitely going to read from this author again. 110%. It was great. It was a really fun read. And that's all I got to say about that. And as a little bonus for you guys, I was originally going to be posting these every 2 weeks. That was the idea. But the other day, I was looking at my footage that I have, and I'm ready to go mostly with some of it. And I noticed that even edited, it's over 2 hours, and that's only with 1 week's worth of books. So I'm basically just going to change my own rule, which I can because it was my rule, so it's fine, that I'm going to do every week, at least for now, because I read a lot, and I knew I would read a lot, but I didn't realize I would be so comfortable talking to you guys and just want to ramble on about all my opinions. So hopefully you like the opinions. If not, then maybe I won't do these long contents. I don't know. We'll see. But it's been great talking to you guys, and I will see you guys now, not in 2 weeks, but next week. So that sounds fun. Hopefully the next book I read, I love because I really enjoyed this one. So I will see you guys next week. Bye.